Ladies and gentlemen, finally, we have returned for the OFL, but not just any show today, the Season Zero Finals, the playoff series. I am joined by a man who thinks shaving's going to change how he looks. Hyperactive, welcome back onto the screen. Cheeky little holiday away in Thailand, but we are back locked in, ready for the first Oceanic show in a couple of weeks.
There are two things wrong with that statement. One, shaving will make a difference because I don't look homeless. And two, Taiwan, please get the right country.
Oh, I'm
Different
so
people,
sorry.
different
I'm so sorry.
place. No, we're gassed. We're absolutely gassed. A lot of stale moments in the European and North American scene as everything is not happening there. But the action was flying here in Oceania behind the scenes. The playoffs, the group stages was going through, and we've been able to whittle out the top four who have been able to make it to this playoff. So we've got probably the next 5 hours to work out which of these top four are the true champions of Oceania.
Yeah, where we left off, we had a couple of extra teams. Obviously, we haven't had a broadcast in a couple of weeks due to a few different issues. We've had some team problems. We've had some broadcasting problems in terms of people being away. This guy, other way. This guy, and then other bits and bobs behind the scenes. So Capybara Armada unfortunately found themselves in the elimination zone, so they won't be joining us in the finals. And then one of our today, we are going to be taking a look. Weekend at Bernie's rolled Buffalo Bills and Lagunas. For Lagunas, a little bit close, but Buffalo Bills in the same boat. Rolled and Weekend at Bernie's, I think, probably had a little bit too easy this season. We could maybe argue hyper, but behind the scenes, we know lots of bits and bobs were going on. However, tonight, I'm very excited to see who walks away crowned OFL Season Zero champions.
Yeah, I'm pretty gassed on what this could overturn because we can see Weekend and Bernie's and Rolled being the two strongest on the cash out differences. They've got more wins and everything is looking quite even between them. But with anything that is the finals, when you come to playoffs, it's almost a lean forward. And you look into the screen and you start to play just that little bit better. So upsets are just waiting around the corner. I'm talking of a way to kick it off. How about starting with a cash out? Yeah, I'm talking all four teams battling it out on the same map in Fortune to get it all rolling.
It's big. It is big. A great way to kick off the format. So cash out for game number one between our top four. Then from that point forward, so every single game we'll watch after that first match is going to be that final round format. So 1v1 in terms of the teams. We're running a double elimination bracket, meaning for those of you who aren't too familiar at home, if your team that you're voting for or you've got your money on gets knocked out in the first round in their top bracket. They go down, they get another chance. You call it the second chance bracket. They get to run all the way through, possibly, if they're any good, to that last place final. Then they'll verse the team who wins in the top bracket. If they beat that team, they then get a second chance to beat them in the grand final. But if the team in the top side of the bracket beats them, it's wraps at the end of the road there. They don't get that second chance. So I'm fully expecting to see Lagunas and a Weekend at Bernie's down that other end of the spectrum. The question is going to be at that final match where we do have that upper-lower bracket game, whether or not we're going to see an upset from the lower side. It depends who gets sent down there first. A lot of different things come into play. Obviously, cash out is a very unpredictable game mode. We could see one of the lower ranked teams on the scaling get put into that topside bracket purely based off of something like a steal or something like that causes an issue early on in the matchup. So we don't know. But Hyper, any thoughts going into it? What are you looking for in this match?
I just want to emphasize the kind of the importance of being on the upper
Mm.
bracket. I don't think you really made it as clear. Being on that upper bracket means one grand final and you're done. Lower bracket, you have to do 2 grand finals. That's extra work.
2 best of
I don't want to
threes.
be on that lower bracket. So you gotta get this early. Gotta get in the top 2 for this cash out to at least secure yourself on that upper bracket run. But you are right. It should be chaotic. It should be unpredictable, and there should be some very interesting steals that come about. And I'm gassed. I'm ready.
We are very well aware that you're gassed. You're making it very known, and I love to see it. I love the hype. I love the energy. I'm also loving the outfits there from the boys loading in here. It's quite funny. I love the little. It's St. Patrick's Day, is it today or tomorrow? One of the two. Either way, loving to get in the spirit. We are going to jump right on into it, Hyper, with the early movement across the match. 4 teams jumping into the arena for this first match of Cash Out with an early altercation here.
Yeah, you've got to get those early little presence on this map. Of course, if you are Weekend of Bernies, you do have power control over this vault, and you want to keep rolled as far away as possible, not allow them to touch, so you can get a free tap, get that first 500, and then you can rotate through, and that's immediately a great start. Bring it up to safety, and that's going to be in your favor.
Ooh, okay. Definitely in their favour, but on the other side of the map, Buffalo Bills struggling that a little bit more. They're on a full wipe there, taken down by Lagunas off screen. Weekend at Bernie's sending some shots across to roll. The Vault's about to pop. They're going to be able to grab that on Keldor, running it over in just a moment here towards the B plug. And Weekend at Bernie's are going to get the first plug, Vault and box of this first split here. Some good damage being done by Weekend at Bernie's and great management very quickly as well. Diving in, interrupted, rolled, jumping in, jump pad up. RPG does great damage. Shay's forced back. Microchip has to disappear as well. Shay somehow disappearing with his life there, disappearing into the stairwell. Will finally go down to Cubio. Getting involved. Laguna's here as well. Keldor to trade. So many kills, Hyper.
There's a lot of kills at the moment, but we continue to see the chase start to unfold because Keldor wants to be able to pick up just one more, but the mesh shield and the goo saves his life. But how about that cheeky little light that's been able to find a pathway from behind, and now it's down to one. It's down to Lover to see if he can prevent a wipe. And reminder, you lose money if you get wiped. May not be much, but it still has an effect.
Yeah, something to the tune of 500 to 1,000, depending on how much cash you actually have for the team wipes. And obviously, I think it scales the further on you go into the match. I could be wrong. Either way, defibs coming out from both sides during that fight didn't make too much of difference. Rolled still ended up getting wiped. Weekend at Bernie's able to manage it a little bit better. But we actually now also see the second plug come through. So Lagunas have locked that one in. So we've got 2 cash outs active at the moment. Weekend at Bernie's holding theirs down pretty steadfast, yet to be wiped. Lagunas have had that first little bit of problem, but they haven't really struggled too much with it. I mean, we can talk a little bit more in a moment about how teams have set themselves up in terms of the compositions, but Hyper, things are about to kick off, I think, over by B on the cash out.
Yeah, it's running low. You've probably got about 15 seconds, maybe even 10, and that's going to be a beautiful winch, but it's going to be the crumbling building, making it just a little bit harder. Dome shield and the goo's going to make life a little bit easier. That looks well blocked in. It could be done. It could be done still for a steal to come through. Has it been successful?
No.
God. The kills, the breakthrough from Weekend at Bernie's has been successful. They defend the site. Wow.
Yeah, huge
that
team
looked
fight.
Impossible. That looked impossible to break through.
How'd they manage that? I mean, they had 2 domes, 2 sets of goo, everything in between. They had a mesh shield. They had everything they needed to be about as safe as they could be there. And Weekend at Bernie still pushed through and squeak away that cash out. I would have loved to have seen the timer on how long was left there before that popped off. But either way, insane gameplay there from Weekend of Burns. We've got Vault 3 now being opened up by Laguna, so they're looking to push straight for their second. They also cashed out off screen without any issues. And again, they're actually also straight away already got that plug, taking some damage. My God, Axo's got to disappear, but Keldor chases him down, finds him, gets the opener here for Weekend at Bernie's, pressuring towards this next vault. Indeed, actually going for the steal. They're looking like they're going to get it largely uncontested. RPG from above, the floor's not even open. They're going to walk away with it. No, yes, they are. They've got it completely uncontested as Pink dropped down to the fray. They've all managed to get away, and they've repositioned here for this next section of this fight.
It's 3 people at one site. 3 teams want a crack at C, even though all while this is going on, Rolled are having a free and open time. So we're seeing players standing around waiting just for an easy moment to drop in like Weekend at Bernie's. And this is the second time they've been cheeky to steal and to take away a point that wasn't theirs. They have not started a cash out that is their own. So with a drop in, we are going to see Bubble Bills. They're the ones going to be pushing. They're the ones that are going to, first of all, find Weekend at Bernie's.
Great damage. RPG running the double heavy. You have so much damage potential, but again, they're trying to get this steal. It's actually going to be successful this time. Instead, with only the Wongu wall instead of 3 or 4. So Ping now coming to play. Bubble Bill's involved. Cubio off screen finds one, looking to get involved in this fight as well. Ping fighting for their lives. It's the heavy, or at least one of them. Microchip taken out. Weekend at Bernie's. Defib straight back into it. That's on cooldown now. Jewel finds one. Shade brings his teammate back into it. Chico dies to his own fire off screen, and it's kills every 20 seconds. Hyper, a full wipe for Lagunas. Microchip to find one. Huge damage onto Jewel. He's taken out as well. Microchip going crazy with the shaft, but it's looking like Bubble Bills might be able to lock this one out here unless Weekend at Bernie's can get onto it. They will indeed. The dive on down, the mesh shield to protect. The light's going to drop it out. They're not going to be able to get it unless they hold it right now the entire time. Defending, doing their best. Masuki trying to stop it. Indeed he will. A cash out for Bubble Bills, but so close to losing it.
Bubble Bills, they wiped Lagunas, used everything of their resources, and somehow was able to provide just enough firepower and util, which, let's be real, the util was near to nothing to be able to get themselves a fight and be able to stand on top. And once again, we're getting another fight straight away as Weekend at Bernie's and Bubble Bills come together, because you look at this scoreline: 17-7, 17-5, 16-6, 14-8. We're still in kill race territory at 2 minutes to go, so every kill here will matter.
Yeah, as you say, perfectly put. Unfortunately, for Weekend at Bernie's, the Master of Escape, Keldor, has actually done some damage and managed to get away with that box there, even running into the face of 3. So the St. Paddy's Day gang are going to disappear with that vault. They're going to go look to plug towards B. Arguably one of the harder, hospital side, arguably one of the harder ones to push here on this map. And I mean, on Fortune. But Rolled, they're chasing. They don't want to give it in too easy. They're giving a fair go here. And indeed, they're going to start getting it involved. Lover, some great damage. Holy as well. Half HP being put down. Weekend at Bernie's, though, faring pretty well in this fight. The Light keeping his teammate up with that H infuser, but Weekend at Bernie's, they want to get active. They're coming up the stairs. They're pressing the matter. Dive on round, grenade or C4. Which of the two? I didn't quite get to see it. Drops them down. They go to re-engage, but Weekend at Bernie's not looking great. Some good damage from Rolled here as they push on up. Lover, great damage, finds one. Off screen, another to trade in from Lagunas, but it's going to be almost a full wipe for Weekend at Bernie's unless Keldor once again can escape with his life, and he has managed to hide for now, but Rolled, they're hungry, they're hunting, they're looking for this wipe if they can get it. Microchip has come back into the fight, but he's holding his own for so long here. Hyper, how's he alive? Cubio goes down as well. They've let Keldor live, and Rolled off screen. The last member taken out. Weekend at Bernie's, they're prevailing.
Yeah, Keldor doesn't need his teammates. He can stand alone and get the job done. Wow. You don't allow a light to have a little bit of cover, you don't allow his dash to be refilled, and he used every ounce of ability to stay alive. And now, Bubble O Bills, they're rotating over. They're coming for a different angle. They've been fighting over to the Laguna side. They've been wanting to try and steal from them. Now, they're going to have a fight with Weekend at Bernie's, and Weekend at Bernie's has chucked it off. That's going to massively help the time waste.
Oh, no!
And they've just chucked it off by their own fault. Oh, no!
They had such a great setup as well for this, but
They can't get it.
24 seconds. This is so much valuable time lost at Weekend at Bernie's. It's just going to be a shooting gallery. Keldor hunting down to make it 9-1, I believe, just before we run out of time. Lagunas and Weekend at Bernie's walking away with the top 2 scores there, but ultimately it's going to be Weekend at Bernie's with the top amount. Yeah, 9-1 in the end on the light. My God, Hyper, that is an insane scoreline, especially in a 4-team cash-out mode. You've got to remember that pulling off something like that, that's difficult on a light, especially considering you're the person who's got to be doing all the lifting work. You've got to be running the box. You've got to be supporting. You've got to use that H infuser. You've got to use all your gateways, your glitch grenades, etc. And he managed it so well. You saw them consistently, especially when the other members were coming to press, whether it was Bubble O Bills, whether it was Lagunas. Those glitch grenades consistently dropping those bubbles, dropping those mesh shields, putting Weekend at Bernie's on the forefront of that aggression. They had the ability to walk in and just let shots fly. RPGs, Shaq 50 hitting like a bus. Perfect winch claws. I mean, the healing from the medium as well. Everything culminating into one. An amazing cash out from them.
Yeah, a lot of those cash outs were steals. They went 2 steals and 1 was plugged in by themselves, which led to one of the greatest clutches I've seen for a while. The 2 steals, let's talk about those. It was pure bunkering, and it's a very common thing you'll see. If you're able to cover up the entire room and not allow anyone in, why not? Quickly put some goo up, put a dome shield, get it stolen, and then the hardest bit is to exit the building afterwards. But luckily, being that they were both sites had windows that allowed me to drop down or find a more difficult for myself and probably yourself, Proto, but a more advanced exit route. They're going to take those to then regain their height, regain their power play position. And that's exactly what we saw Weekend at Bernie's show, is that ability to get it done, quickly run away, and then come back and defend where needed.
Yeah, definitely a lot of good micromanaging from everybody involved. That's not to say that not all the other teams were doing great as well. However, Weekend at Bernie's particularly definitely highlighted there. It was great. There was a little bit of third party going on from everybody. That's not just to say Weekend at Bernie's. There was a little bit of third party going on, but in a mode like that where you have the ability to, you also do that. It is a play style. This is what we said at the start. There were possibly going to be steals coming out that were not supposed to be, that team's necessary way of winning, but they did show up and then take. You can do it. That's how it works in the finals. You can steal. But the bracket after that first matchup, we've got 3 teams being sent off elsewhere. Obviously, we know where Weekend at Bernie's is going. They're going into the top side of the bracket. Lagunas to be following them. But the bottom 2 teams, Bubble O Bills and Rolled, which, Hyper, I don't think we're too surprised about, considering that we sort of said that at the start. We could see the difference in the scores in terms of the seating, at the end of the main play season of the main stage. I'm not really surprised by the outcome, to be completely honest. However, as you mentioned, halfway through that match, everyone was relatively even pegging. We saw a lot of those teams getting that cash value up to that even point sort of halfway through that match, where I was starting to think we were maybe going to see Bubble O Bills or Rolled pop into that top 2 spot. Unfortunately, it just didn't end up happening in the end.
Yeah, with 2 minutes on the clock, there is, of course, a lot of time to get a cash out in. You might see one go in and the second one get gatekeeped away if a team's quite smart and able to capture both at the same time. But that takes a lot of coordination, a lot of trust in that light player to play alone and to cause disruption, or alternatively get it close for a double jeopardy situation. Which, if you're a reminder, if we have done that, the person who puts in that second vault would have lost half if they don't win the cash out. So that's also another thing they could have pushed for, and then we would have seen kill race from the bottom upwards. But I think realistically, from what we saw in the end, when we came to that final vault, I would say that this is a fair outcome. This is a fair look
Yeah.
on how the fights went out. Of course, Bubbelos and their goo. Oh, I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
Dude,
That was
that was tragic.
it was the
Oh,
poorest. Like you can't write where that goo was placed, because in an ideal world that was where it needed to be. It needed
100%.
to be in that position to block Weekend at Bernie's, but at the same time, Weekend at Bernie's was clever to chuck or at least move the cash out
Yeah.
of the map, and in doing so, it's got to come back. Now, you expect that cash out, and the cash out will, if it falls off, break through anything to its original position.
Hmm.
Not in this case. It decided the goo was just something it wanted to bounce off.
Oh, and it was just so tragic as well because they had it set up. They had the jump pad underneath, just bringing it back up consistently. They winched it, just rolled off that little bit. Okay, cover. Oh, and now it's stuck and it's not coming back. Oh, and then it's all this other. And it was just such a poor series of events that led to such a sad outcome. But comedy gold, we will say that. Weekend at Bernie's, I don't think we can trash on how they played too hard. As I said, there was a lot of other. Yes, they were playing that more third party. They did have those couple of plugs. Obviously, that first vault, we saw them. They punched that first vault. They plugged that first vault as well. They were playing very aggressive from the get go. And they kept that up the entire match. But I think the other thing that we are maybe not forgetting to highlight necessarily, but mentioning, is that Keldor, we didn't see Weekend at Bernie's wiped, I think, more than once. Every other team at least had a minimum of one or two team wipes. Weekend at Bernie's, I think it was only one, possibly not even that entire match. And that was
One.
purely, yeah, it was once, purely off the back of Keldor. We'll have a quick look at the draft for the next map that we are going to jump to in this second match of our playoffs. We are going to be going to the thing. What are we thinking here, Hyper? What map? Sorry, are we wanting to see?
Personal preference, definitely wanting to see a little bit of Soul. I'm wanting to see a little bit of Banal. Okay, looks like
No,
we're not
pack
getting
that up, buddy.
Banal. The other one was Monaco, I was going to say, but
Yeah,
apparently no one
cool.
likes Monaco. They all don't like the ones I like. Come on.
Hey, look, we get some good maps. We got Nozomi Citadel. That's not too bad from Weekend at Bernie's, and I think this map suits their playstyle as well. Based on what we just saw, there's a lot of ins and outs, a lot of buildings, a lot of nooks and crannies they can hide away in. The map two that we will see, Fortune Stadium. Bread and butter. Can't complain too much. Fangway City though, going out for map two. So map three, Las Vegas Stadium. I don't think that's a horrible lineup there, Hyper. I'm actually quite looking forward to this best of three.
Yeah, I think this is quite a decent lineup. I'm quite surprised that with Weekend and Bernie's and their strategy of bunkering and then having nice height, Fangway would be the one that they might have picked for their map three. But clearly they're comfortable with range. They like these distance maps because Nozomi Citadel has a lot of sightlines, a lot of open space to play around, and those buildings to collapse into, the same way Las Vegas has a lot of sightlines, but once you get inside, you can collapse in, create this close quarter encounters, and build this build your own map within the building with your goo, with your placement of util. So I think this is going to be quite interesting to see how they adapt to it. And the second of all, what weaponry we're going to bring forward. Because each map, there are weapons that are going to be stronger. Are we going to see the LH1 get brought out? Or are we going to still see a lot of players try and place close and play with their CQB weapons?
Yeah, it is definitely an interesting choice. I mean, we saw a pretty interesting mix and match in that last game. We did see an SA, we did see pistols, we saw ARNs, we saw all sorts of Shack 50s, etc., etc. There was a lot of different options being bought by pretty much any classes, as well as the compositions. We saw medium, heavy, light. We actually saw light, light, heavy. We saw medium, medium, heavy, which a lot more teams are jumping towards as we head on into this next matchup. Microchip and the gang, they more favourite the HML lineup, which can't complain. But yeah, there was definitely a mix and match. I think at least there was 3 different that I noticed. Whether or not there was 2 HMLs, I think possibly was how it was run. I didn't quite pick it up, but yeah, HLL already there for Laguna. So we already see that they are running the 2 lights instead of the medium as well. So possibly a bit of a difference in the healing factor here, given that this is going to be that final round game mode now. It's not cash out, so there isn't as much time to breathe. If you have to get away from a team and disengage from a fight, you don't now have time to heal, because that other team, if they know you're low, they are going to push you. They are going to come. They're going to try and lock out that 30-second advantage for them to play with. And to be honest, can you really blame them? Especially when you've got the 2 best of the pack going up against each other in this best of 3.
Yeah, defib is such a powerful tool, and without it, it can make it a little bit hard. But Lagunas have demonstrated through the cash out that they don't really need it. They're comfortable just to do a hit, get the job done, and get out of there quickly, create some soft resets where needed. This opening fight, though, good tags, good amount of damage, but even though I would say Lagunas are in a worse position, they've been able to maneuver themselves around, get some taps, and in doing so, Rusty Pete, a great side angle to, 1, give information of any pushes, but in 2, to get a lot of damage down as we finally see Shay and Keldor drop to the floor. It's down to Microchip to stay alive. Good night, sweet moon. Axo getting the job done. Round 1, Lagunas.
Yeah, almost a minute and a half into the first round here. The vault fight going in favour of Lagunas. HLL not seeming to struggle too much without that defib, but I don't actually believe they lost a single member in that fight. It took a little time to get it kicked off and going, but in the end, they managed to get the job done. Some great side angles from Rusty Pete and Axo, just making things difficult for Weekend at Bernie's really to engage in that fight. And I think we saw that it definitely hurt them being flanked as much as they were, especially on those side angles. But having that defib could make a difference. It's just going to depend how they play these team fights. They don't really have the ability to rat as much as they were in that first match. Not that they were relying on that completely. We did see them win a lot of their fights based on purely just their gun skill. But as they group up here, looking to get involved towards a mesh shield to cover the approach, RPG comes out, some great damage. Famus in the hands of Shay, some good damage, but not really enough to be a relative. Microchip trades out Chica. AXO takes down Keldor. The lights trading it back and forth, but they've lost their heavy. It's a medium and a heavy going up against the light, and Rusty Pete has to disengage. His teammates are down. They're looking for the defib on Keldor to put him back in the fight quickly. Indeed, they will, but Rusty Pete elsewhere has retrieved his teammate's totem, and he's going to be putting one of the Lagunas back into the fight. Going for a soft reset here before they re-engage. The steal from Weekend at Bernie's. They might be able to lock out this first cash out, depending on whether or not Rusty Pete and Chico can get the job done.
Yeah, we're looking at about 45 seconds left on this cash out. You got a bit more pressure now, Lagunas. You had control. And now we're seeing a very heavy defensive position. A sightline that keeps an eye on to A. You start pushing in, you've got sightline over to the gantry as well. No matter where you push, it's able to get sightline, but it's a quick rotation as we see that Weekend at Bernie's actually step off point, but the steal is starting to go through. Don't worry, there is going to be Shay to say no, and that mad dash rush from the Lagunas not going to work out. And they might as well take a wipe here and get a full reset.
Oh, and Shay, insult to injury. the last a little bit to Rusty Pete. To be fair, can't blame him. Go for the reset. 15 seconds. Just got to wait for that vault to set up and get itself ready to go. Thank you for the quick flip on the scoreboard production. Shout out to them behind the scenes. Just quickly, ladies and gentlemen, we love those guys as well. But we're going to Bernie's squeak away with the first. And I'm going to say it. You called it. Hyper, the defib. So much of a difference maker in that fight. The ability for Shay to bring Microchip, to bring Keldor back into the fight at a moment's notice on that recharge. Obviously, yes, you have to wait seconds for it to come back into play, but such a big difference made. Microchip almost being taken out in the mag there from the IRN. Some great damage from Axo, but they try to rotate over with the gateway. Doesn't work. Rusty Pete, though, he doesn't need to be there. As long as he can see them, he can take them out. The gateway over. Great damage from Weekend at Bernie's, but not enough to lock in the kills. Keldor's going to get one, but is it even worth it? No. Charge and slam from Chico to lock it down. He's going to get one for his troubles, but it's not going to be enough. Vault to be plugged here by Lagunas, firing back. They can win in these open spaces, Hyper, but it's in the buildings where they're struggling, and it's when they're in those team fights that matter, and they play more passively, and they don't have that defib. It hurts them.
That's why they go and B. Put this side of B, but oh, I've just seen it was a brief moment. Look where they've spawned. Weekend and Bernie's. Oh, this is poor timing. It's poor timing for Lagunas. It's perfect for Weekend at Bernie's. And now they're going to have to engage in yet another fight, an ego chow, just to get themselves to
hold the position
and put in the cash out. But again, they play heights, they play with distance, they don't want to go inside the buildings, they know their strength as both Keldor and Microtrip drop down low. Microtrip is actually gone now, then Keldor getting trapped, Shay getting trapped, and that's done and dusted. Lagunas didn't even worry, don't even sweat, baby, they got it done and dusted.
Locked in at the function, Chico, charge and slam. Absolute connoisseur. We're enjoying seeing it here compared to Mesh Shield, which we have been seeing, or Winch even, from most of the people earlier today, but some gateways here. I think the amount of movement that Lagunas are bringing is making such a difference compared to having that defib. I mean, Rusty Pete, we've seen him now, it's the second time, chucks a gateway, disappears, and he is being uncontested on these off angles. You saw him from so far away in that fight do so much damage to the point where he was arguably the difference maker. But Weekend at Bernie's looking to re-egress here into the building. They sneak up to the roof through the stairwell. They've split themselves up. Some great damage to Chico, but he's going to be brought straight back to full HP. Rusty Pete off screen as well. Just a single bar. AXO2 looking a little worse for wear, but these H infusers with their healing times, absolutely amazing at returning the boys back to full health to re-engage here. Weekend at Bernie's, a soft reset. Hyper, the pads here, they're looking to get involved.
They get involved. We saw Keldor do what we call a visual aggro, making himself decoy and getting aggressive, but he eventually gets caught. There needs to be an escape contingency to make it work. And now they're going to have to see if they can grab his totem. They have successfully done it. Microchip takes a truckload of damage while doing it. And this delay is going to push it further away as there's 30 seconds left on the clock, and Chico is going to charge and slam his way down. Not going to hit the damage that he's looking for, but it will again continue to delay. 15 seconds probably left on this cash out, and we're going to get tied going into Nozomi Citadel. RPG's going to land. Chico gets the hit, but it's not enough time. It's going to be cash out for Lagunas.
Locked and loaded in this second cash out. Vol 1, Weekend at Bernie's looking strong, but Lagunas, I think they've learned the tail of the take here. And all they need to do is move around and get a little bit more creative with how they're engaging in these gunfights. Weekend at Bernie's, they're bringing that traditional comp, but the amount of utility, the amount of movement, the way they're using him in Axo, 7 and 3. Rusty Pete, yes, he only has 4, but look at the assists, 9 on the board for him, doing so much damage in these off angles, in these positions where he's largely untouched. But it's Weekend at Bernie's diving in, trying to catch Chico on the off angle. They will indeed, some great damage, but not enough. He's actually going to take down Keldor, believe it or not, with such low HP. The chase now on the Microchip, they're trying to lock in that kill, but it's 2 kills from Lagunas to find one. Shea does get the revive on the Keldor, but he's got to be the escape artist once more, managing to get away. Some good damage. He could find two, but the shot's not landing. And another wipe here for Lagunas. This is a completely different matchup than the way that the cash out kicked off, as well as how this match kicked off. Hyper, this is going to be interesting. Weekend at Bernie's have got some serious catching up to do.
And tell you what, they've gone open sight, a true open sight this time. With B, it was nice. You had that height you can play with. You can play up into the billboard. But here at D, you're in the residential area. You're here with the ability to look around with sight galore, and you allow Rusty P, you allow Axo to beam their way down, and they've been beaming all day. I say all day, all tournament has just been hit upon hit upon hit, and we're seeing a lot of the util having to be used early onto Weekend at Birdies to just heal the backup.
Yeah, it's it is very back and forth at the moment, but it is leaning more to one side, especially when things go outdoors. I think Weekend at Bernie's, the plan's going to be here. Well, there we go. Read my mind. Drop it down and take control. The ARN is just outclassing the pistol in this matchup, unfortunately. The TTK, the damage that they can put out with that ARN, especially having those two magazines, quick draw reload, it's not great, but Weekend at Bernie's, they're on it. They're trying to lock it in. They're trying to cover as much as they can. The charge and slam, though, is going to force it off. Everyone diving into the site. Axo goes down. Keldor to find one. H-Infuser to keep it up. The Orb as well, trying to keep Microchip into it. RPG. Rusty Pete finds one. Keldor looking for more, but not enough damage. It's Microchip to fall in the fray. Chico takes him down, and Keldor's the last alive. But Rusty Pete, the ARN, Chico as well. This is going to be a Lagunas game in this first best of 3 series, unless in the next 10-15 seconds Weekend at Bernie's can clear the map, which they're not going to do because they're all watching the menu screen. Hyper, that was not what we saw in Cash Out.
No, absolutely not. That is not what I expected. Laguna stepped up. What I loved in that game is Lagunas took L's at the start and very quickly worked out what strengths were working. They saw when they were fighting at a little bit of a distance, they were getting the upper hand, but as soon as they started to get close, things were getting shaky. So what do you do in that situation? You adapt your playstyle to being at range, to fight at a distance, and that's exactly what they did. Hence the sites of choice. B, over by the billboards. Well, it's actually inside, below the billboards, amongst the main facility. And then, of course, the apartments over at the CNN residential buildings. Change of dynamics, change of mindset, and that's what won them the game.
Yeah, and a complete comparison there, vice versa for Keldor. 9-1 in the first game, 2-10 in the second. So a bit rough. I think he was sort of being targeted there, and to be fair, you can't blame him. He literally was the deciding factor in a lot of those gunfights in that first match that kept his team into it. I saw you asking in the caster chat, and I do have the notes here. I'll bring them up for you. The last time that we saw these teams go up against each other on a broadcast, this is when we commentated it in week 1. Lagunas took on Weekend at Bernie's. I don't remember the map because I haven't written that down. However, Weekend at Bernie's, Game 1 and Game 2 win. They were best of 2 series, so it was a straight wipe for Weekend at Bernie's. However, interesting note as well, Lagunas at that point in time were also running the heavy light. So nothing changes in their composition, just maybe how they're playing.
There's also a lot of time to adapt, a lot of time to understand. There's a lot of time to start watching gameplay. If, I'm not going to say anything less about the Oceania League compared to the NA and EU scene, but 100%, these guys are going to be VOD reviewing. They're going to be looking at how these guys are moving, where they've been positioning themselves through watching their own POV, whether it be where their other players are appearing, or if there is a broadcast or somebody was sitting there spectating, taking that POV and watching it. So 100%, these guys have definitely done their homework. They've probably done a few more scrims with Weekend at Bernie's as well to square them up, shape them up, understand what's going on, and then came up with this lovely plan to go at them.
Oh, okay.
And also to note, that was Weekend at Bernie's map.
It was. That was Weekend at Bernie's pick. Something I did see very quickly, though, in the introductory sec screen here, we saw a very quick flash of Revolver from Shay. However, P90 ended up being what was bought. Keldor has flexed over onto the ARN, but very quick look on the right side of your screen here, ladies and gentlemen. Lagunas, heavy, heavy, light. We have seen a swap off. Chico, last game on that heavy, 10 frags. A complete menace for Weekend at Bernie's. So they have tried to pick more into that aggressive close-up gameplay that they bought in that first match. This is where they were quite comfortable in their element. They have that P90, they have that ARN now. Can they take the battle to Lagunas on Fortune?
This map is dominant CQB. So you need to change your playstyle. Everything you were seeing on Nozomi Citadel, you've got to chuck that out. That style will not work. It won't fly here. As a quick pop-up from Lagunas will get themselves caught out, but that Dome Shield landing perfectly. And the RPG splats the way they want. And the Lewis gun has been so good to shred. And Arco will say thank you, but that was not great to see. When you see an RPG that takes out 2 of your own team, yourself and your own team, that's questionable if I say so myself.
The mental might be in the bin for Weekend at Bernie's after that one. Just a little bit. We saw 2 with the ARN, and then I believe Microchip takes himself out at the end of the RPG. But we'll find out whether or not it affects them. We'll see how they go. Already off the rip, they're having shots fired in their general direction. Rusty Pete and Chico, we've got a mesh shield and a charge and slam on the heavies here. So no winches, interestingly, in this matchup. Glitch grenade to stop the cover coming across while they try and cross, and that is perfect. That is a strategy. Oh, and Axo just casually hitting the stair climb like it's nothing as well. And again, look at these off angles. ARN in this position from that height, they're not even going to know that he's there. As they jump on across the ravine now, everyone doing so much damage. Axo, I mean, look at it. Headshot, body shots galore. He can now go join his team, and he has not been punished for it. Yes, Weekend at Bernie's have managed to heal in the meantime, but realistically speaking, Hyper, it's cost them what? It's cost them all their healing utility as well as everything else, and now they're trying to drop it down to go for the steal.
It's a bait. And Lagunas know they're just creating now holes for themselves, but in doing so, they've given away their location. So you naturally, as Weekend at Bernie's, go push up and play for the fight. The mesh shield does block a few of the shots, but Naxo is down low on the light. He could be the first one to drop, but he is staying alive. Weekend at Bernie's is still wanting to push aggressive as Axo finally gets the heal coming in, and he will stay alive. Shay is the first one to drop, and so does Keldor. Every time you think there's a chance, there is just the hope gets taken away. Microchip left alive. And he's got to escape here. He's going for a cheeky steal. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Oh.
And he gets dropped. They had position. They had map control. They pushed into Laguna's territory and was starting to dominate the fight. But when the lights and when the heavies just put up their shield or the light dashed away, it almost felt that they switched off.
I don't even know what really went wrong there for Weekend at Bernie's. We see them come up the stairs. RPG comes out from Microchip. You've forced... one of the heavies, I can't remember exactly who it was, but you force one of the heavies to dome, you push it, mesh shield into it. You've got Axo on 1 HP, and they cannot kill him. He was 1 HP that entire fight. Not only did he manage to then heal his teammate, he managed to get involved straight back into the gunfight and continue dealing monumental amounts of damage. What are you supposed to do? If you're Weekend at Bernie's, you're getting that initial engagement, you're coming off on top in terms of damage dealt, but then you are struggling to capitalize on everything else. These glitch grenades as well from Lagunas have been on point all match. These whole 2 matches, I don't think we have seen a single one miss. And right now, it is a masterclass.
It is a masterclass, and I definitely want to talk deeper after this game about how beautiful that cash out was. But talk about how beautiful. How about the start again? Microchip and Keldor getting dropped down low as the engagement starts to push through, but the double team, the buddy system is so powerful. 2v1s just don't work in these scenarios. Shay, Microchip has dropped, and then Keldor, he's been brilliant. We know he can stand alone and ace, but he can't do it when there is a full team against you. Again, I think it's more so that Lagunas just know how to play the buddy system. Play in twos, and the third one being Axo, just being, as I mentioned before, that visual aggro, being that person that will play the boy.
It's alright, we didn't see it.
Yeah,
we didn't see it.
No, nothing. They're playing that buddy system. They're playing with somebody who's playing decoy or just visually trying to get the aggression from them. That strategy is standard, and that strategy has been working. And they've been playing it to the T.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, here we see Weekend at Bernie's fully expecting to rotate over to B because that's where the vault was. And then, you know, they've now got control of it. It's going to allow Lagunas to just walk off. They can go grab it. They can rotate on over to C now, and there's no problem. You know, they've done some good damage. Weekend at Bernie's have posted up here. They're thinking, oh, yep, they're going to come to B. They're just waiting to rotate them. Oh, wait, no. Vault's all the way back over where the last cash out was, and they're not going to be here anytime soon. So they're going to have to rotate into Lagunas once again, and it's such a shame because they had such a great positional advantage here in this instance to at least maybe try and win the fight. It might look like that they're going to even go towards that cash out still anyway, regardless, but I'm not too sure, Hyper. It's interesting to say. Gateway up here, and again, micromanaging. We talk about it so much, and it's, I feel, a word that I use way too much, but it is just so great at explaining it. Look at the difference. Lagunas constantly putting themselves in that positive situation. They have something set up. The gateway cancelled out by Axo as well, and then to collect the kill. I mean, this is chalk and cheese. Weekend at Bernie's are just getting absolutely stomped on right now. The glitch again to connect. They're pushing to capitalize. Axo's not going to get one, but it doesn't matter because his teammates there. Rusty Pete and Chico get one for themselves. They're each getting kills that they want. And at this point, that was close. At this point in time, Weekend at Bernie's, do we just pack it up? I mean, gosh, guys, what are we doing?
First of all, glitch again hits its mark perfectly, stops the aggression from coming through, and then the kill while the player's falling takes a lot of aim training. Gets I am baffled at the change of mentality because a lot of people were saying that this is Weekend at Bernie's game. This is their match to take, but instead it has just been. They've not shown up. They've not shown that cash out spirit. They've not shown the ability to get those steals, be the sly and cheeky people. It's been non-existent. I don't know where it's gone.
And considering we had such a strong start for Weekend at Bernie's as well in the cash out series, you know, it was a very different way that they were playing. There was a lot more strategy. They had, you know, some interesting things set up. Now they are looking to drop on down. Whether or not this is a bait once more to try and pull the Lagunas into a situation that they don't want to be in, it doesn't seem to be the case. Weekend at Bernie's again instantly. 2 members down to half HP. Microchip even less than that. He's on one, but Keldor, he's going to finally find one in this opening fight. So it's actually Weekend at Bernie's who find the first here. But the explosive barrel forces them off. The RPG from Chico, an instant dome to keep himself in the fight. Rusty Pete chased now, trying to get away. Barricade to cover himself, hits the reload and disappears to regroup with Rusty Pete off screen, but they still need to go for this steal. Mesh shield up. Weekend at Bernie's making it happen. Smoke to cover. No, but the shot slam from Lagunas. They've locked it out. They're denying for so long the C4 as well. Diamond in here from Chico. He's going to deny all three. My God, Weekend at Bernie's put it in the suitcase and send it back to Grandma's. You're not playing anymore on Fortune.
Holy cow! The first savior, the charge and slam, pushing two of the players out the way, sacrifices his life. And then to jump in, play Hail Mary, and just shoot and shoot and just shoot, praying that the bullets is enough to land on the three bodies and hit the guy that is doing the steal. He takes out the body block, he then takes out the person stealing, and then just as bonus, he takes out the third. That was incredible. Chico, the savior, Rusty sets it up.
Yeah,
Absolutely
thank
phenomenal.
You. Thank you to production for highlighting that one for us. 3 kills combined here for a weekend at Bernie's. It's not a great scoreline from them. And I mean, you can sit there and you can say, oh, guys, we need to be neutral when speaking. Guys, we need to be non-biased. It's not that we come into these matches with the bias, but when we're sitting here and we're watching what you guys are watching, Weekend at Bernie's had 3 kills between 3 of them. There's not a great deal that we can say that sort of, hypes them up other than, hey, they did great in cash out because they did. But on Fortune, they didn't. They got 3. They got 3 kills. And there's not much else we can say. But Lagunas, compared to the cash out, insane change. And whether or not, as Axel I think mentioned off between games, that it was very much they were relying on that third party. We did see them do it. We saw them playing a lot more of the steals. They were playing in the chaos. They were locking things out and trying to just bunker those steals, whereas here they were unable to do that, especially when Lagunas found out that if they played those open sort of sight lines, we saw it on the previous map. We saw them play B in the open. We saw them move the cash outs away from anywhere that was hidden away where they could chuck down a dome, chuck down a goo, something along those lines. It was just crazy to see the switch up from that cash out game mode. I mean, this was a completely different Lagunas. And as we said, during that matchup, compared to the first time when these guys versed each other, it was Weekend at Bernie's 2-0, 2-0, thanks very much. Like, there was no competition. There was no contest. It was nothing like that. They were running the same lineup. Nothing changed from that first matchup to today other than how Lagunas were playing. And it is just completely different today compared to when they played that first time. And they were able to change the setup. Heavy, light in the first game. Heavy, light in the second game. They've got even less healing than they did in that first matchup. And still, I don't actually think we saw them wiped once there in that second game at all. They lost a couple of guys, maybe maximum at any given point in time. But other than that, they didn't need a defib. They didn't need 2 H infusers. All they needed was a charge and slam and a Lewis gun, and it was it.
Yeah, the charge and slam came out to play. There's been murmurs and talks about the power of charge and slam now, how it can be more useful than the likes of a mesh shield, than the likes of the winch, because we've just seen and proven how good it is to clear out sites, to force people off point, because it gives a little bump when they do come into contact. Also, it takes a lot of damage, and especially if it is the Donkey Kong smash that comes in, then it's very damaging to the point of taking an elimination straight off the bat. So Charge and Slam is coming back. It is coming into a position where it is a strong, viable choice. Now,
definitely.
I want to give some positives, but I don't think there is much for Weekend at Bernie's. I can definitely see that come that second cash out, they were able to pull things back together. They were able to stick together a lot better. They were not losing to that buddy system fighting that we were seeing at Lagunas. But at the end of the day, it was they dropped. I feel they dropped it down to the bottom too early. I feel get rid of that C4, 100%. It's going to drop it down 1 position, and then try for the steal. If the fight comes out, then okay, you then have another option to drop it down again and go at it for a second time, because you did not know how far up now they're sitting, and when they are really, really high up, and you're looking like this, going, there's somewhere up here. Ain't gonna happen. It is not gonna happen. The team that's above you at that height will always, always win.
Oh, if I ever need a visual representation of anything, I'm going to make sure I ask you for it. Thanks for that, Hyper. That was great. I'm putting that on my Twitter later. We are going to move straight on in to our next matchup, B1, or the lower side of the bracket. It's going to be Rolled, taking on Bubble O Bills. We haven't had a lot of time to talk about both of them. Obviously, we focused on the main time. We just see production change in the background. You're welcome. Cheeky little layup there for the guys in the production room. But the first band's coming out. Skyway and Fangway gone. Waiting for the Map 1 pick here. Las Vegas Stadium. We didn't get to see it in the last game, considering that it was Map 3. We didn't get that far, obviously. 2-0 wipe for weekend. For Lagunas. Kyoto. My gosh.
Why is that even in the map?
Why would you even bother banning it? No one's going to pick it. Banal, though, we do get to see a Banal confirmed. So I guess you're happy sitting there rubbing your little mitts together. And then the Zombie Citadel, thanks very much. Standard. But yeah, look, going into it, I'm interested to see what we will see. One of these teams, can't remember who it was, I think it was Buffalo Bills, was running the double medium heavy. Whether or not they stick that out in this game, I'm not too sure. It depends, as we said, and as we saw in the bracket, these teams are the two lower end of the spectrum from the main qualifying series to get into the finals run. Charge and Slam coming into this one, whether or not it's going to be too powerful, I don't think so, considering that both of these teams were running Winch, I believe. But you never know. Things can change. We saw Lagunas do it. They went heavy light. So whether or not one of those teams that we're about to watch is going to choose to do the same, who knows? But yeah, look, interesting ban phase. Again, don't know why Kyoto was picked as a ban. No one's going to pick it, but I guess they have to account for just in case.
I want Kyoto now. Can
someone pick Kyoto?
Can somebody? I know the teams are watching. Pick Kyoto just for the S and giggles. Do it.
You can sleep for half the game. Well, everyone's rotating. We can have a nap.
True. There was talks about actually updating the spawns for it, but then Embark are not going to make it a viable competitive map. That has been confirmed. Well, I say confirmed. It's not been publicly confirmed. That's what the map developer told me. That he is not... He's the guy... I literally was speaking to the guy who made that map, and I was like, dude, like, it's the most unusable map in comp. And he turns around and goes, yeah, I was the one who made that. And I was like, so you're the one I could complain to. Nice. And he was like, yeah, there are some maps that just aren't designed for comp. And that is one of them. And it is true. The spawns are too far. The map is too big. And it's too open. It's sniper heaven. It's DMR heaven. We'll never see it. Maybe for a show match. Maybe we'll see it for a show match and have a little fun with that. But other than that, it will never touch the competitive space.
Well. It's all right. Everyone doesn't like it anyway. Look, we are getting ready for this next matchup. Look, going into it, I'm really excited. We get to see the lower side of the bracket, what they bring to the table, and possibly who is going to be going up to meet them in the top side of things. However, now with Lagunas coming down into the mix, Weekend at Bernie's coming down into the mix, probably not going to be anybody anytime soon, unless we see some cool steals coming out, which we did see in the last couple of matches. But regardless, I think very quick, we'll touch just on the meta side of things. Hyper, we have seen maybe only one or two interesting picks. Nothing, I'd say, out of the ordinary. The Charge and Slam is possibly a bit of a maybe as well, considering that Winch and Mesh are so strong. With the nerfs that Dome received a couple of patches ago now, a lot more people are bringing it. Even Barricades, we saw Barricades run in that last game by Lagunas. I'm not too sure which heavy it was. It was one of them, possibly Rusty Pete, I think, from memory. But again, the same kind of thing. We saw Famis over the F-Car, considering the F-Car in its current state is in arguably a better position in terms of where it's sitting. But even then, right off the rip, we've got a D50 on Buffalo Bills. Masuka, Winch, D50 on the heavy.
Yeah, there's the meta right now is a bit all over the place. The nerf of the repeater for the medium, everyone's saying that it's quite a weak character to play. That's why we are seeing them predominantly being just essentially just healing bots, and that's really it. So and then the other side, heavies have just got the power and dominance, while lights just need a little touch up as their weapons are fairly balanced. ARN, M11 being strong, and talking of strong, the damage from Bobolos are coming quite nicely, as they've been able to get a few good picks, but Rolled also can get a few back as well, as this is just some little tag damage. It's not going to do anything here. I don't even know why the shotgun's being shot, because it's participation shooting. That's what I'd call it.
Oh, get this guy a big gold star. Someone let him know he did something. But the dive is yet to come from both sides. A bit hesitant. We have finally seen the Vault be popped by one side here, and it is going to be Buffalo Bills looking to get off with this first Vault. Some great damage from both sides, and ultimately they're just trading damage back and forth. But unfortunately for Buffalo Bills, they managed to get away first, and they are going to go and plug this Vault off screen A site. But apparently half the team choosing to fight. Some great damage here from Cubio, sent him to the waiting screen. Masuka, the heavy as well, taken down there in midair. Wow, some great shooting from the side of Rolled, looking to get involved now to take out the rest of Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, that's going into his showreel. I know that for sure. That'd be going into my showreel if I popped up a kill like that. Yeah. Beautiful tracing. And you don't want to be the one that's being on screen, but the steal is going to come through. So even though Buffalo Bills had initially got that sneaky plug, they didn't really have any control to back it up. So Rolled will have the upper hand right now. They will have a few seconds to quickly rotate round, but that RPG, I think, landed quite well, put some damage onto Razel. And this will stall the Buffalo Bills from dropping down and start pressuring Rolled here.
Yeah, they got the full reset with the full revive. They chose to keep the defib, and I think that's a good choice. In any instance, if you can hold on to that defib, especially for those big fights, repeater headshot there on the Dual Trooper. He has been put into a situation where he's going to have to disengage for a bit, but off screen we see just for a second there the light on the roof. Cubio doing some great damage off screen. The D50s are taking down SA Lover. Rolled, struggling a little bit to survive here in this matchup. They do still have control of the cash out. Chase coming here from Masuki. Loses the scent, manages to disappear, but Rolled have put all of their chips back on the board, reloading the RPG, and they are in prime position now to deny. First rocket comes out. Cubio finds the kill. They're looking to try and get this steal, but is it going to happen? Glitch grenades, the dome to come out as well. SA involved. He's going to find Masuki, and now it's all up to Razila. He's going to find one, but traded out in the end. Rolled lock in this first cash out. Thanks very much.
Yeah, Rolled just steamrolled that second half. The initial gunfight that was happening over on the main, I don't even know what you call that, a bridge, gantry. It's not really either of those. It's a cover over the street. But when you were fighting in the mid, they weren't necessarily getting an upper hand. They weren't showing dominance. They weren't putting fear into Buffalo Bills. As soon as they got that steal and started to play indoors, we started to see them come alive. Great rotation, moving themselves into little pocket positions where they could do a little tag of damage and dip away. They weren't aiming for kills, they were just aiming for delaying. And I think that's their game plan go forward. See if you can stall for as long as you can.
Yeah, winch into the smoke. Not too sure what Masuki was hoping to find there. Holy Smokes takes down Jewel Trooper, and they're looking like they want to get involved. Gateway up, some great height advantage. Rozela 1 HP, but it's going to be Masuki from up top. D50 takes down Holy Smokes. Cubio, though, trades it out. Rozela finds one, the D50 to reload. The winch waiting on the recharge. It's just the heavy here. Volt able to be picked up if he can go and find it, but no, Roll, they're going to beat him to it. They're going to rotate that one to wherever they choose. They're actually going to find him here in the corner. He's going to get one for his trouble, but he's going to be traded out pretty quickly. It's going to be a full reset here for Cubio. But Buffalo Bills, we've had Jewel Trooper coin in. He's come to pick up his teammate. Maybe they'll go for the re-engage, but I would highly suggest they don't. They're probably better off just getting this full reset.
They can play stall. That's what they're going to look to do.
True.
Not necessarily go for fights, but at least slow them down to a point where you can get your third player to come through. But this is a poor start, as if you lose your first player, and then Jewel Trooper has to run away.
Full
Yeah,
reset.
that did not go to plan at all. And I'm not surprised Rolled are coming out and getting things moving the way they want it, because Rolled, when you look at the group standings, 8 wins, 17 cash outs, but Buffalo's 6 wins and 14 cash outs. So theoretically, Rolled should come out on top just by the numbers, but we could be wrong.
Well, saying that as well, the numbers aren't that too far apart, if we're being completely honest. They are very relatively close. Still, it is notable when there is a difference between two teams. So, I mean, I'm not saying that there is one at the current point in time. There may definitely not be, but we will find out how this match turns out. It's only map 1. Anything can happen, and to be fair, it is Vegas. So, Banal could prove to be a difference maker, whether or not teams choose to bring different utility. But the setup right now, they're looking to push towards this cash out to try and get the steal. SA Lover forced to put that shield up, will be healed. We've got so much healing on both sides here. It's just trading that damage, and they are going to get that rotate away. Buffalo Bills are trying to find their opening.
They're trying to find any way to get inside right now. Please be careful. Q bio. That's a lot of information to grab. And with a good landed glitch as well, that's going to massively help. A 1v1 against the media might be a great fight, but the RPG comes and finishes it off. Reinforcements come from above, and a change of position once again. Height in favor of the Rolled, and it comes the shotgun, the SA-12. It's a skilled weapon, and it's done and dusted for them. There's a matter of, what, 20 seconds, if that, left on the clock. We could call it. We can say for sure that this is Rolled's map.
Yeah, I think that's pretty calm to say. Hyper will chalk that one up on the scoreboard. Countdown now for the final 10 seconds. Masuki and the gang going to spawn back in, but only to see the round over in front of themselves as we finish that one off. And the t-shirt lies. He clearly has plenty of idea what he's doing in that match. Cubio, some great clips from him there. An amazing game, ultimately ending it with 5 elims. It doesn't seem like much, but considering that half the time for the other members there was spent on the death screen. A lot of resets, lots and lots of resets actually there for Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately, Jewel Trooper actually, yes, again, thank you, production 0 and 4 in that matchup. Not a great scoreline, but Rolled doing exactly that. Business as usual down at the Rolled HQ. So, stampeding, some would even say, over the competition. There was not really much graft there from them at all in that matchup.
Yeah, I definitely will say that the in this
Is that Ward?
no, that I've got a complete blank. What's that? Scoreboard. There it is. I got there in the score, but it doesn't read how strong Rolled was. It doesn't show that they were the dominant force. It just shows that they had a good game. It seemed average, but realistically, Rolled wasn't playing for kills. I called it out quite early on. They were just playing for little stalls, a little pushes, just nudging and shoving, pulling, doing everything, lassousing, hanging, I don't know, whatever you can do with a rope, they were using it in the right way, and that is what they were capable of, is make sure that sight stayed away, push the fights away from point, and then in doing so, once they started to touch the point and get on sight, collapse in and just finish them off because of that SA-12, because they've got some close quarter weaponry to get the job done. And I love that style. Play slow, play the time, and then when they get desperate, pounce on them.
Small question, very quickly. And the next game's on the way, and I just have to get this clear. Did you say lassousing, as in lassoing?
Lassoing, yeah.
Lassousing. Ladies and gentlemen, new term of the day. Put that somewhere.
I am
Put it on a billboard.
dyslexic. Leave me alone.
That's what they all say. Lysdexia is a killer, but you know what isn't a killer? Drill Trooper in that last game, unfortunately. Look, we're going into the second matchup here, Banal. The streets are going to be long. The engagements are going to be far hyper. I am expecting to see a slightly different lineup here, possibly from Rolled/Buffalo Bills. I say that, it's just not different at all. SA Lover being true to their name, bringing the SA consistently. Can't blame it. We saw it put some good work in that last matchup. Banal, though, whether or not I rate the pick, not my favourite. Possibly could have been better options. But I guess we'll see how it pans out. Whether or not we have D50s or a Lewis gun, I would argue that we'd maybe want to be seeing a Lewis gun here. We do see Revolver from the sides, and a slight change in the roles here as well for Buffalo Bills. So everything's business as usual for Rolled, but Buffalo Bills, Masuki jumping onto the medium and forfeiting his heavy off to Razela. Drill Trooper sticking it out on the light this matchup, and at the moment we do have that Revolver in play. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But first altercation here, a little bit close for comfort for both sides. Things are locking in. Masuki, some good damage on the Holy Smokes. Cubio as well, being punished at distance. Looking like the way these things are kicking off, this could be a bit of a different matchup here between these two teams.
I love a good Revolver, and if those land, it's going to do a huge amount of damage play, but you can see Rizal getting low on health. The winch does land where it needs to be, but it just can't get it done. And it is going to be SA-12 that says thank you to get most of the damage. Holy Smokes gets a finish off, and that should be the wipe. Yep. Whoa, quick and sorted. Rolled are not here to mess around. They want to get this done and dusted on these suspended structures.
Yeah, the suspended structures as well, just in themselves, are going to open up the door for players like SA-12 to do some crazy damage with the shotgun. And even vice versa to that, if they choose to drop that point down, the vault down with a C4 and then play from above, this is where I would have loved to have seen Charge and Slam possibly in this game. But alas, we have not seen it. LH1 not connecting there as Buffalo Bills move their way in. They go for the Vanish Bomb to make their way up to the roof here. It's going to be straight into it. RPG to kick things off. Some good damage. SA Lover in trouble. He's going to be taken down by Razela, but is instantly traded out by Holy Smokes. Defibbed here for Roll. They have no more resets in this fight for another 30-odd seconds. Razela's brought back into it with a defib as well. So both sides now on their last remaining lives, unless they go for full revives, back through the gateway, just falling short. The light out of the fight, as well as everybody else dropping on down. They have to go for the jump pad here. The Goo trying to block some great damage. It's Cubio doing so much from the roof here. The healing being managed as well. Rolled. They keep their height advantage. They push Buffalo Bills back down, and they have to find an alternate route.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills are struggling here. That second miss did not work, but again, the SA-12 starts pushing forward. He's hunting. He wants a kill. How about getting one, get two, and that's from the Rolled side. Only Rizal left alive. The heavy still on the same level, needs to be careful, but no, done, dusted. Good night, sweet moon, Buffalo Bills. They're going to lose cash out one, and this will mean match point and series point to Rolled here. Yeah,
there's no second chance for Buffalo Bills in this one. If they go out here. They go out. This is the lower bracket side. So they don't get another chance here. And unfortunately for them, that could be partially where part of the mental is. And I mean, in these fights, I think it's a highlight to say that we are just not seeing the same presence from the heavy of Buffalo Bills that we are seeing from Roll. The difference between the two is so stark. You've got SA in their face, mesh shield up, dome up, grabbing hold of people, pumping them full of shotgun. Thanks very much. That was a bit sus, my bad. But Rizela, he's got the winch, and he isn't using it. He's not doing anything. Shout out to Zucchini for that one. I liked it. I had to run with the story. But again, it's just not happening. You see, we've got such an aggressive loadout, and you're just not utilizing it. The Shack 50 up close, crazy. The shotgun compared to that with no winch is doing more damage. You have to ask yourself the question, are you in these fights enough?
Yeah, the Shack and Winch is a beautiful combination, but so is an LH1 when it lands, but it doesn't do the job. Again, Smokes will get one, and QB will get the second. Well, I can't even speak fast enough because it's all done and dusted in time as Rosella has to soft reset. And in doing so, Rolled, again, are able to just push and shove and move around Buffalo Bills to where they want, and once again they go for that re-engage. Buffalo Bills go down low, Mascu down low, Roselle down to the floor. This is horrible to see from Buffalo Bills. Every time they think they can get back, it's another drop. It comes down to Jules Trooper. I would like to believe there's a chance.
Bro's spectating.
Yeah,
Bro is just spectating.
I'm gonna dip if I was you. I would dip.
Yeah, especially when QBO catches sight of you, which he did. Vanish Bomb, again, an interesting choice. I don't think we've actually mentioned that at this point. Vanish Bomb, why? Gateway H Infuser and then anything else. Goo. Literally anything else other than Vanishing Bomb would possibly be more useful in this situation. Oh, maybe not on Banal. Actually, I take that back. Maybe not on Banal. Crossing open spaces, I agree. Yes, you're right. I'm being silly, and I apologize. I'll take that back.
Yeah, Vanishing Bomb is powerful. Going to use Invis as a main specialty. Again, if you use it right, it's powerful. As if we look to the pugs that Ape Squad did, I think it was 2 weeks ago. That was a powerful use of Invis that can really play on people's minds. So there is uses for it, and we need to see more of it that's used on the team as well. But this is a bit odd. We're actually seeing Rolled with the cash out, but they don't have the height anymore. I don't think they're fully on the platform yet.
Possibly set up for a C4 drop, I'm not sure. We see the attempted winch there from Zayla falling short, so they are going to have to dive on in still. Glitch to deny it, but it's an RPG from the top ropes, diving on in. SA Lover is getting involved. Some great damage, but not enough to find any kills. Rolled, causing problems. They're going to find one. Holy Smokes takes down Rosella. The heavy put on to nothing. They're trying to find Jewel Trooper here as well, but it's going to be Masuki up top. He's punished by SA Lover. A punch to the face. It's now just Jewel Trooper. QBO, a 1v1 for the lights. It's the LH1 versus the ARN, but he doesn't realise, well, he probably does, that he's going for the reset. He's able to get one of his teammates up, going for the second now as well, and Jewel Trooper left on his lonesome. Double revive and a full reset here for Rolled. Smart play from QBO. You could have lost that fight if you repeat that engagement. You don't know where he's moved to. You don't even know if he's still there. Bang. Full team back up to it. And Hyper, they didn't even have to touch the cash out. Rosella misses the winch. They go for the steal. The RPG from up top pushes them off it. And thanks very much. They clean up everything else. It's the re-engage from the spawn here. 2 coins used in the process. But Holy Smokes finding one before it even kicks off. However, hang on. Rosella rocks it back. It's now just SA Lover against the light. This shotgun in the right hands could cause so many problems. Mesh shield to cover. He just needs to stay alive long enough to get this cash out. It's Jewel Trooper trying to get in behind him with the SA. Puts it up and he gets it. Rolled off of some great movement tech on the heavy. SA Lover shows why the shotgun is such a powerful weapon in the right hands if you know how to use your utility. Struggle there from Buffalo Bills, but unfortunately, gentlemen, it was lovely to see you in the final, but you're not going to be going forward anymore.
It's so sad, but they were the weaker team of the two, unfortunately, and that means that we are going to see Rolled advance forward. So, standings from the group stages, we are seeing the third place team go and get dropped. I I think the wild comp that they were running, the weapons, the util, the misuse of the util, there's a lot that I would say that was missing from the side of Buffalo Bills that they could have used. Use that winch a little bit more. Use the change up some of the weapons because the revolver had potential. The LH1 had potential. I feel ditch the LH1, go for ARN, or even make it M11 and the revolver because the revolver has a higher impact damage. I would have preferred that, but hindsight's 2020. It's a beautiful thing, and as somebody who can watch it and look at what the other team has, you can very quickly work out what the counters are for it.
Yeah, it was an interesting match. However, definitely a big difference between the two. I mean, we see QBO just absolutely farming during that matchup. And a very quick look at the standings just before we head to a quick break. In the top side of things, obviously, those first two matches left us with Weekend at Bernie's slugging their way through the lower bracket here. When we return, we will continue on their journey and find out who will be joining Lagunas in the grand final. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time. You need to go to the bathroom. You need to grab yourself a snack. Go and do it because we're going to be doing the exact same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with more OFL goodness in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a sec. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I do apologize. I have had to have someone join me here on the desk, but Hyper, how are we feeling? A great set of first games. Now looking to go into the second set. We've got the next, I believe, a lower bracket game to decide who is going to be joining the other gang in the top side. Weekend at Bernie's. Who are they going to be going up? Oh, Lagunas. I keep saying. Who are they going up against?
Yes, weekend at Bernie's versus Rolled will be the next match, which will decide who is going up against the Lagunas. It's a good job somebody is not distracted by that very cute cat that's in your hand. But it should be quite an interesting battle. We look at you look back at the group stages, 8 wins on both sides, 18 to 17 cash out wins. It's so close between these two. This is the two teams that I feel a lot of people were expecting to be in the grand finals. Lagunas, I don't think we've really discussed this very clearly. They're in last. They came in just qualifying in. Yeah, they beat Capybara Armadas to get this spot, but they have only just got into that qualification for this playoffs.
True.
And in doing so, they're sitting as the number 2 team in Oceania. That is a great statement to have, while Weekend at Bernie's and Rolled are sitting here going, well, we're going to be at least either number 3 or a chance at 1 or 2 later on.
It was definitely a bit of a squeak to get in the top there, especially in that 4th place position. Capybara Armada, unfortunately, not flopping out necessarily, but having some internal issues, I think, was probably their demise, as what I've heard off screen. And it happens in teams in terms of competitive gameplay. It does cause issues. But yeah, we definitely do see problems like that. We do have a draft ready to have a look at what maps we're going to be playing. Hopefully, we're on a little bit more of an even playing field than Olmade is above me. But look, we've got the bands coming in here. The first one to go from both sides. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see Banal here. Weekend at Bernie's weren't too fond of it. Monaco goes again. Fangway not surprised. Hyper, anything obviously Kyoto, we're not going to see that one again, I wouldn't imagine. But Las Vegas, again, get to see it once more.
Yeah, Las Vegas, common pick. I'm not surprised that it is going to be put onto the
Kyoto.
field. Kyoto is still going to get banned. I don't even know. Production, why did we decide to put Kyoto into the map pool?
Competitive integrity.
No idea. Anyway, Banal will be the second, and then, of course, map 3 will be Cis Horizon to finish it off. A nice staple map. I think the Grand Major, we went to Cis Horizon, 12 times.
Jeez.
In the tournament. It was a mass amount of numbers. It is, as I like to describe it, and as the pros like to say, it's a stable map for competitive play.
Definitely stable, and you have a lot of different ability across those maps as well to play different playstyles. You have the close, you have the inside, you have the outside, you have the long range. So there are lots of options on Cis Horizon. It's probably why it is one of the most balanced maps. You can play pretty much any playstyle you choose to play on those maps. But going into this one, in terms of difference, I think, as much as I hate to say it, see you, buddy, Weekend at Bernie's probably going to be the team that come out on top. I'd love to say that it's going to be, this historical, run from the bottom and, they're going to push for the top. But looking at the scoreboard and the statistics, I'd argue that it's probably not going to happen. It could definitely happen. But we're less than 30 seconds away now from this matchup. Hyper, who have you got chalked up for it?
I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think Weekend and Birdies has got it. They've had a massive break. That will massively help. But I'm looking at mentality. They got railed. And that's the only word to describe it. Railed by Lagunas. And that is something that is going to affect them. They're going to look at that scoreboard. They're not going to know the stats. And everything's screaming that they should have beaten Lagunas. So naturally, you're in your head going, hang on a minute, how did we lose these fights? How did we miss these opportunities? And 9 out of 10, they will probably look back and went, well, this went wrong, this went wrong, this went wrong. So how do you now go into this next match? You either have 2 ways. You mind reset, where you turn around and go, right, let's forget about it. Let's just focus ahead. We know we can beat Rolled. Or that mindset stays, and that is the worst case, where you're still worried, you're still panicked, and in doing so, it can lead to your downfall.
Well, we're going to find out. We've got Keldor back on the light pistol Rolled. I will say they did put up a pretty crazy fight in that last matchup. So for Weekend at Bernie's, they did beat them in the cash-out phase, but right now it's not looking like they're doing that at all. Microchip in the first couple of seconds, he goes down. Shay in trouble as well, trying to keep himself alive, but will eventually fall to holy smokes. It's now just Keldor getting the revive on Microchip. Weekend at Bernie's. The pressure is on here.
93R coming out from Keldor, I noticed that. So this was, of course, Grand Major Season 7 power weapon that every light was using, and then it did find a nerf eventually. But speaking to a few people, speaking to a few pros, challenger players, they've all been saying that actually the 93R you shouldn't fully rule out. It still has power, it still has presence. Of course, the VSR pistol is stronger currently, but there is always that second choice, that little change in action that can turn things around. So we'll see how well Keldor does with it.
Yeah, definitely be interesting to see how he chooses to utilise it. A cheeky wave coming out here from Weekend at Bernie's. Luck of the Irish, not with them in that first gunfight, but hopefully looks to continue. It's going to be the attempted steal here. First explosive to come out from Rolled. Forces them off. Winch away though. This is in a great position. Weekend at Bernie's lining it up. They've got the mesh shield as well, but it's a dive from Rolled. They're on the point. Where's Keldor? AFK in space, looking to try and maybe make a play from the flank later on. SA Lover goes down, punished, but they're going to find one on Weekend at Bernie's as well. Shake has some great damage. Keldor finding the final little bit there to take out holy smokes, and Cubio falls as well to Keldor. The 93R, as we talk about it, comes in clutch for 2, and Weekend at Bernie's put themselves back in the driver's seat.
Winching it into the corner, creating barriers all around them. If the goo had gone down, or if there was goo on their team, I didn't see it at the moment. If goo went down, it would have nailed it on the first attempt to the steal, but thankfully, calm, cool, collected from Weekend at Bernie's. The Weekend at Bernie's we saw from the cash out is back, and that's how they play, is picking off one by one. Roll did not have a chance at them during that engagement.
Yeah, and a smart play here from Roll 2. They're going to not even bother trying to go in. They don't really have the time. There's only 10 seconds left, really, as they started to ingress towards that position. They're opt for the early rotate. They're going to go towards the vault, possibly look for some damage as Weekend at Bernie's rotate over. But with that 30-minute break, it seems like they maybe have rewired the computer, trying some different things with the double heavy in this matchup, which I've only just now noticed. I didn't realise just before, but they're looking to get into these. Keldor also playing a little bit more reserved in this matchup in terms of further angles, possibly a trap choice that they've realised and highlighted from their first couple of matches. Some good damage, nothing really to highlight. 2 RPGs on recharge though here for Weekend at Bernie, so they've lost a lot of their hard hitters, but shouldn't make too much of an issue. SA Lover almost taken down here, and the altercation's coming out. Glitch grenade to come in. Rolled, trying to dive the heavy here from Weekend at Bernie's. PCL back up, finally taken out. SA Lover for 1. Holy smokes and Cubio not looking too great. Keldor some great damage here. Finds one off screen. Holy smokes taken down. Cubio will manage to get away. SA12 looking to at least try and find one, but the 93R chipping away evidently will finally take him down. Spotted on Cubio as well, but they're going to opt for the revive. They're going to be able to slow this one back down and put themselves back once again on top after that team fight.
Rolled again, another good attempt to push in, but it is just this force from Weekend at Bernie's. I think you're right in saying though, reset has happened. Weekend at Bernie's is back, baby. They are flowing, but we don't rule out Rolled. We've seen previously, offline we know that they can adapt, they can overcome when we haven't been able to watch them live, but from the first time we saw them, they adapted. They came around. They changed up the plan. So yes, right now it may be weakened at Bernie's, but all it takes is one different angle, one different play, which already Q-Bio playing massively off angle here. And that gateway taken away, so no quick jump. And that ruins any plan from Weekend at Bernie's. And a collapse is imminent at this moment.
Definitely coming. They're trying to figure out the best way to attack it. And they don't know whether they want to drop. They don't know whether they want to maybe RPG it down, possibly winch it out. They don't actually have a winch available to them. But it is going to be opt for possibly more of a horizontal take here. They're trying to push Weekend at Bernie's out of position in their bunkering and force them into the gunfight. Shay, a little bit of damage, put back up to full, or at least was in the process of. Microchip as well. SA Lover drops him down, punished, taken out, healed back up by the medium, but taken out the process. Shay finds one. QBO drops on in. Keldor above in these off angles. Have been finding so many kills. Some great damage here from QBO, calling out to his teammate though, Shay, letting Keldor know where he needs to go get involved. Some great damage here. They're just letting him continue shooting. Keldor, you need to get involved. You need to punish this light. He's going to do just that. Some great damage found, but not enough for the kill. Gateway, possibly to dive on in. It's a spot. Cubio is going to find the kill eventually. Weekend at Bernie's are going to be able to lock out this first map in style. The light 1v1 to polish it off. Ward, get off the screen. You're not even in the top 4, buddy. Weekend at Bernie's. Lock it down.
Oh, that was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful to watch at the end. Q-Bio. A lot of people would say, why was he still putting damage down? Why don't you back off? Wait for your team to respawn in, get player and numbers. Well, first of all, lack of time on that cash out was the first point. Second of all, he 100% was putting down the damage. He was winning the gunfight. So why not keep going? And then he was left in that 1v1. A 93R versus ARN. The 93R at close quarter slaps and does huge amount of damage. It really hits hard. Though to note, and production did highlight it slightly, Microchip, 0 eliminations, but 5 assists to help out.
Yeah, 34, low support score too, but at the same time, not the end of the world. You walk away with a dub. All you really need to do is chuck your shield up, shoot some people, move the point around, maybe a couple of winch claws here and there. If you're playing that role, that is, as well. You're playing heavy. So at the end of the day, you can just afford to be a meat shield as long as you're doing it effectively. And in that match, I'd say definitely was very effective, considering that there was barely any healing for Weekend at Bernie's. On top of the fact that they're running the double heavy, they're copying Lagunas in that last matchup. I mean, it worked for them. Keldor played completely different to how we saw him in those first couple of games. Completely far away from the fight. Wasn't in it, wasn't running around, wasn't getting involved. 93R off angle, ages away, proved to be more effective. He was able to pick people off. He was able to be a lot more conservative. And then when he needed to, dash on over, get into the fight, find a couple of kills. Thanks very much. But for Microchip, I think he played it perfectly. As much as there was 0 kills, a lot of his game in that match was positionally holding advantageous spots, whether it be behind the barricade, playing that height, having the C4 set up to, deny whatever he was doing, the RPG as well, just to knock those players down so Keldor could get that damage, could get things done. Whether or not that's exactly what he's doing, we don't know. But we can assume, we can say that he did a good job because they won. If he hadn't won, we might be questioning the 0 and 5. However, maybe that was his job in this matchup. Maybe he just didn't get the opportunity. Regardless, going into the second match, we got Weekend at Bernie's 1-0. Banal. I think they're going to stick the double heavy light. I'd like to see it. Whether or not they choose to, different kettle of fish.
I think there may be some changes. It's still a big map. They may change maybe a few util, maybe a weapon might get changed, but I think composition should stay The same, no, medium out. So
Okay.
get the repeater back in play. I respect that. I
Yeah.
respect that. Repeater on this map, very, very powerful. Revolver is another one that you could play off.
LH1.
Well, LH1, more I see it in competitive play, the more that recoil isn't helping. So I'm watching it more and more, and as much as I love it, actually I'm questioning it. Like, I'm 50-50 when it comes to LH1 play. I'm sometimes good, sometimes bad, so it's questionable, but the pop damage will start to come through, and we get at Bernie's. Well, Peldor has to hide because they nearly got a free opening pick from a very aggressive push.
Yeah, both lights running the LH1 here, and from what I can possibly see, I could be wrong, both mediums also on that repeater. So this is going to be an interesting, a very interesting match in terms of long-range gunfights, because both of the supporting sides from both teams are running, yep, there we go. Repeater LH1 on both of the medium and light for both sides. Microchip and SA, obviously the only difference. Microchip running that Lewis. SA, we know what he has. RPG, though, diving on up. Goo, straight on over, some great damage. Forces Shay to back up. Cubio jumping into the fray. LH1 difference here, though. Keldor's going to find him. Back of the head. One swift one. Hyper looking, sorry, not Hyper, my gosh, you're in the booth with me. Holy, he's going to get one. Microchip to find one more. Holy smokes, actually now the last alive. Weekend at Bernie's have come out on top of this one. They're going to get the defib, though, with a full revive here for Weekend at Bernie's. So it's going to be that 2v3. They hear the sounds. Are they going to choose to aggress them?
No, you're not going to aggress that just yet. You may send the light out to do reconnaissance, understand the situation, but right now, you want to keep that height. You're on top of the building, and if you are weakened, if you are rolled, you're now going to have to find a way. How can I move myself to a height that won't necessarily get us killed in the process? And, well, that's a piece of head that just spotted up on the side of Weekend at Bernie's, and that splat, it was not as effective as you thought it would be, but the SA-12 is going to land. Finally, a kill in the favor of Roll. They're going to open things up, and, well, instead of continuing the fight necessarily, they're going to jump away and try for the steal. They've realized that Weekend at Bernie's are nowhere to be found.
And saying that, though, Weekend at Bernie's are still managing to deny for such a long time. The C4 is going to truly be an issue. Does deny that first time. He almost gets it with the second, but I think he just missed the placement. Cubio locks Weekend at Bernie's out. And with the way that vault is set now in terms of how long's left, about 20 seconds or so, I highly doubt we're going to see a Weekend at Bernie's. Indeed, there you go. The cash out attempt at that vault. So they are actually, for the first time in this matchup, going to be put on the back foot. Rolled. They've taken the driver's seat from Bernie's, pulled him out, taken the belt off, and they've wrapped him up and sent them to this second vault. Vault 2 now, yet to be tapped both sides. Probably going to be a little bit of a fight at range like we saw at the start here.
Yeah, map control, understanding where they can position themselves for the next vault. Not as important on this map. Oh, get their headshot and get him out. That's going to cause the aggression to start to come through. Q-Bio also get a little pushy as he starts to push into enemy territory. And now, if you're Weekend at Bernie's, you've got to work out a plan to recover your last player, your dropped player of Keldor, or at least delay time so that he can cool in. Either or, it's not going to be an easy task.
No, and on top of that, keep in mind, Vault yet to be opened. Whether or not we're just seeing a bit of time wasting here, trying to run it down to make it a little bit closer, who knows? There could be lots of different strategy talks happening in the VC over at the Rolled HQ, but it is going to be Weekend at Bernie's, going to make their way down and get that tap in. So they have started the vault now. It is going to force the issue here for Roll. They have a better position. They have arguably a nicer spot to attack from, but with SA diving down into it, they've got the RPG in hand looking to make... Oh, hang on, look at Cubio off angle all the way out in space here. He was in a great spot to try and find damage as they come up to fight on this rooftop. But I think they've been called out. RPG comes out. SA pushing on in. Dome to cover. It's amazing aggression here from Rolled. They're dealing so much damage. Holy smokes to assist. Cubio jumps on in to look for one, but it's SA to clean it up. And Weekend at Bernie's once again. Keldor's just watching on. The LH1 not hitting anything. He has to disengage, has to disappear, and Rolled are going to grab this box and disappear with it. As, well, I was about to say Keldor's left licking his wounds, but he's not even going to get to do that as he's finished off by SA Love.
Brilliant work. That was beautiful. Again, have somebody the light of Q-Boy play this decoy role that draws all the tension, not in a full kiting state, but enough that everyone's looking at him, preparing their angles towards him. And then as we started to see that when Rolled started to roll up onto, the rest of the team started to roll up onto Weekend at Bernie's, they quickly realized it was a trap. And in doing so, bunched up too much. RPG's just super effective. And, well, the rest is history. S8-12, close quarters.
Yeah, not too much left to be desired in the mind there. Double dome here for both sides, with the SA able to get rid of it a lot faster. Some great damage here with the repeater, ultimately leading to the kill on Holy Smokes. SA Lover put down again, a great shot. The follow-up from Shay. Cubio off screen to Keldor, diving away. SA trying to get out of dodge, but it's not going to happen. It's going to be Weekend at Bernie's to lock in the steal on this vault. Rolled now have to fight if they want this cash out.
It's going to be a tougher fight. About a minute left on the clock. You're going to spawn in. I think now you're about 50 to 45 seconds. It doesn't feel like a lot because it takes about 5 to 10 seconds just to get to point, let alone clear any booby traps that are set up. And anybody who's peppering down would just continue to slow the pace. So once you're in, you've got to act fast, and that's exactly what they're looking to do. Dome up, and there's a good amount of cover that's been able to use. The steal is still going through. The RPG is going to drop it all the way down. Has he been able to surf it? No, they have not. Shake-Case
oh my God,
able to get one. Is there a second? No, it's not. But the wipe will go through by his teammates. Done, dusted. It's one apiece, and it's still anyone's game.
I tell you what, Shay on the repeater. Watch this space, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the flicks there. Insanity there from Shay Cass. I mean, I just realised what that means. My gosh, I've been done in there. What can you do? There's the second time this broadcast. I'm just going to pack it up, guys. This is my retirement announcement. No, I'm kidding. Some great damage. Yeah, rip.
No one will miss you.
Yeah.
Anyways, final vault to open. I don't think it'll be the final fight. I think there may be two fights here. We've got vault at 128, 166 in distance. So even with a wipe, you possibly could spawn in just in time. It's again the RPG going to do a huge amount of damage. The SA-12 going to pick up one, say thank you very much. And slowly you continue to push in, get all closer, personal and business. But the Lewis gun does have a response. Down to Holy Smokes, but it's not looking too good. But the quick defib, yeah, that's just lining up for death.
Yeah, it was a very desperate attempt at making something happen there for Rolled. Shay will be brought back on a full reset here for Weekend at Bernie's. And I do have to highlight, I think the dives are better from Rolled when they set up the pad, you know, heavy RPG straight into it, the dome play. SA Lover is very good at managing his utility and then utilizing it in such a way that it is beneficial. However, unfortunately, his team just weren't able to capitalize on the fact that they needed to do just a little bit more damage. They also maybe have not spotted Shay flanking them on the roof. SA Lover almost taken out straight away. Repeater looking to find one as they chase on down, but he's going to get pushed down. It's going to be SA Lover to barrel stuff. Keldor supports, looking for more, trying to find as much damage as he can, but it's SA Lover brought back into it. Defib comes out here for Weekend at Bernie's, but in the driving seat of Rolls, they've lost their medium. Cubio now falls. It's SA Lover left to his own devices. Weekend at Bernie's, clean up house. And that is what happens when you lose your defib.
Yeah, you're entering the site at such a tight niche. I would even describe that as a choke point because it's so easy to defend, so easy to hold. And dropping in through that singular point, yes, if you catch them by surprise, fantastic, you come with the upper hand. But Weekend at Bernie's, they had a sense that something was going on, so it didn't come to fruition. And we're seeing time and time again, Rolled is implementing this jump pad gateway all the time to get themselves across, which means they're using up a load of util off the bat.
Yeah, and well, using up that util, you then lose the ability to stay in that fight longer, especially that last one. You see Holy Smokes go down so quick. Your healing's gone, your defib's gone. They've got one last attempt at stealing this cash out here. They have to make something happen. Orb goes up, glitch to cover. They're dropping everything they have onto this. The bait to try and force, but Weekend at Bernie's, they hold on to their big ticket items. RPG finally comes out. Keldor finds one. The medium once again down. Cubio dropped to a single HP, chased down and absolutely slaughtered. It once again is up to SA Lover, and if he can't make it happen, Weekend at Bernie's will. The second game for them in this series. Bernal, ladies and gentlemen, that is all she wrote.
It means grand final. We got a rematch, baby. Lagunas versus Weekend at Bernie's. Bracket reset. Grand final. Best of 3. Lagunas won it in 2. First time in this playoff. Of course, the last time we saw them over in the group stages, Weekend at Bernie's 2-0'd them and just completely wiped Lagunas. So it leaves a little bit of a question mark. Are we going to see a bracket reset, or are we going to go the distance?
Is this Vantage? Someone tell me if this is Vantage. I need to know. Thank you for highlighting Keldor's 10-3. Guys, we're not getting paid enough to read here in the casting booth over at the OFL. Someone please send help. We're blinking very quickly. But no, great game. And Weekend at Bernie's. They had to work for that one, though. I will say, Rolled, a team that realistically shouldn't have given them an issue, definitely did. And I loved watching it. I mean, the last game against Buffalo Bills, they put up an insane fight. Just the way they were moving, the way they were getting about, the gunfights, the play with the utility was just phenomenal from them. To take it to Weekend at Bernie's in such a way that it actually forces them to play for the full 3 vaults. That is monumental effort. You've pushed them all the way to the end. That was about as close as it gets. Yes, ultimately, the fights were pretty straightforward in terms of, you'd get at least 1 or 2 fights per vault. It wasn't anything special. There was no last minute steals. There was nothing like that. But yeah, they just lost steam towards the end. They had such a powerful start, and they were hitting their utility great. As we said, the jump pads, the RPGs from SA Lover, especially those dome pushes where he was just sort of jumping on people solo and picking off people where he could. Perfect way to utilize that utility. But I think, as Hyper pointed out, very much vice versa to that, yes, doing that every single fight puts you at such a disadvantage when you use all of your utility. Keep in mind, to make that jump, you sometimes will have a goo grenade, a pad, an RPG, and a dome. Gone instantly. That's no healing. That's no nothing else. That's no defib. And that's all you really have left is healing and defib at that point, unless you've got Light, who has gateways and glitch grenades. But that's really it. In a fight, you're not using those. You're shooting people. So SA Lever has used all of his damage-dealing utility before the fight's even out. And he's got nothing to rely on other than closing distance and hitting them with a shotgun, which unfortunately, in maps like Banal, isn't going to be enough if you can't close the distance. So I think that's maybe where we saw a little bit of an issue there for Rolled. But saying that, they did still manage, as we said, to take Wigan and Bernice to that third vault. So you've got to give them credit where credit's due.
Yeah, 100% give credit where credit is due. Fought valiantly, and in doing so, putting it, as you said, to the third vault and
Mm.
pushing it to the very end. But again, when you're playing the same strategy over and over again, it becomes predictable, it becomes stale, you know what's going to come, and in doing so, you got to change things up. But looking ahead, we look at the rematch, and this is the bit I want to really delve into because
Mm.
we saw last time round, Weekend at Birdie's crumble. Second map onto Fortune. Nowhere to be seen. Wasn't the team you were expecting. We saw them drop down, vault all the way to the floor, giving Laguna's massive amount of height advantage. We saw them make critical fighting mistakes, and also, well, credit where credit is due for Laguna's impressive use of specialties such as the
Mm.
charge and slam, and just praying and spraying and hoping that the win comes through and turning out to be an ace. So I'm looking forward to this proto.
Me too. I definitely am. And especially if they keep up with the interesting picks. I mean, we've seen, what, two best of threes from them. Well, sorry, a best of two and a best of three, technically, in this setup, and one cash out match on stream. And realistically speaking, heavy double light and double heavy light have been what they have crutched, depending on the map. If they have more room to sort of, be internal, do a bit more damage, play a little bit more aggressive, they are running that double heavy. But if they're playing those bigger maps, Banal, for instance, they're going to run the double light heavy. So it'll be interesting to see A, what maps are picked, and then B, what they choose to bring. Because Weekend at Bernie's, I wish we knew the map and I wish I could remember what the map was. We can probably dig through the archives and find it, but I'd imagine it was probably something along the lines of Sis Horizon or Fangway. For some reason, they tickle my brain when I think about them. But I believe that is probably where we saw it. But Weekend at Bernie's, as we know, 2-0, thanks very much, no question. Going into this, they won the cash out game mode. They didn't win their final round game mode. Could it be that there was a slight difference in cash out? I'm not too sure. But we look at the bracket very quickly before this last series. Lagunas versus Weekend at Bernie's. And remember, if Weekend at Bernie's win this, which realistically in the past they have, we will get that reset for the bracket, run it back one more time just to make sure. And then if they win again, they are the ultimate champions. Whereas if Lagunas win just off the rip, thanks very much, they're going to walk away with it from that top bracket. As Hyper was saying before, it is such a big difference being in that top bracket. So making sure Lagunas have stayed there the whole time. They've only had to win 2 games to be there, but it is the difference between having to play another whole best of 3 or walking away with it, thanks very much. And off of the stint they had when they rolled Weekend at Bernie's to send them down into that lower bracket, they're going to be coming off a high, and the mental is going to be ecstatic in the VC right now with the boys.
It's going to be confident, it's going to be hype, but at the same time, you could also twist it the other way. We've just spent probably 45 minutes not playing. So you're starting to what we say is getting cold. Now you're there, you're not warmed up, you're not feeling the rhythm, you're not riding in the same way. So probably during the game, from when Rolled and Weekend at Birdies were playing, they tried to start getting things back on track and try and get themselves back to pace, but it's not going to be the same. Weekend at Birdies is now battle hardened. They're ready. They're using their mind to be adaptive. That mindset is flowing. The juices are there. So looking at it from those two perspectives, it could go either way. As I said, the hype of beating them once before could keep it going, or it could be they're iced out.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, it's going to be one of the other. As blunt as it is to say, we can sit here, we can talk as much as we want. We are just filling a bit of time. We're waiting for the game to load up. We've been told it's probably going to take about 5 minutes. So what we might do very, very quickly, just before this final gets underway, might have a very quick 2-3 minute break. Go get your food, go get your snacks. We'll be right here ready to bring you coverage of the grand final for OFL Season 0 in just a moment. We'll see you in a minute. We are back, and we are just about to load. What is this guy emoting? This is raps. We are about to load in to the final match, ladies and gentlemen. We have the emote on screen, and we are ready to go hyper. We've talked a lot about it. We're going into the map bands now. What are you expecting to see?
I think some long range. If it's Lagunas wanting to play, they want to play range. They want to play it again, push them into horrible places, but that's a poor start to kick it off. Banal banned. That's not going to help Lagunas. Actually, Lagunas put banned it. Fortune Stadium, well, they know they dominated Weekend at Bernie's. No surprise there. And then map 2 and the ban. Nozomi Citadel banned, but Fangway City is coming to play. And Weekend at
Hooray!
Bernie's wanting to try something different, and then Horizon will be the final map. I like this setup. It is unpredictable.
Yeah, definitely unpredictable. I definitely think that out of any matches that we've seen today, this is the one that's going to go to three maps if it has the chance to. Considering so much was learned in the first game between these two today already, Lagunas with the 2-0, yes, cool. But Weekend at Bernie's, they're warmer, they're fresh off the press, they've paid attention, and they've had time to chat. We've seen them changing up the strategies game by game. We've seen them changing the loadouts, the utility, all the things that they needed to think about from their first matchup. They've had time to do. They've had time to test things. They've had time to try a strategy out that maybe they wanted to think that they were going to use during the matchup if they got this far, which they inevitably did. You're now in the final, and Weekend at Bernie's staring down the barrel of the rematch. It's going to be a good one. We've got a good mix of CQB versus long range. We have a good mix of the utility that's going to be able to be bought, whether it's more gateway pad reliant, whether it's double light heavy here. It's looking like it's going to be that old fashioned first game good one from Lagunas because they know it works against Weekend at Bernie's, possibly the triple light. We're getting teased here with the throwing knives as well from Chico. I doubt he's going to stick that. It'd be funny if he did, but we both know that he definitely isn't going to do that. Heavy, light, going up against the traditional HML. Ladies and gentlemen, lock the frick in. This is it, the penultimate round of a OFL Season 0. I'm hyped.
This
Maybe not.
should either be a battle for the ages, though.
Turning on the Cronus or something? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Waiting for the cheats to load up? Are we something wrong with the lobby? I'm not sure. Bit of
Ah,
typing going on. Checking
there
Twitch
he
chat.
is!
He's back. We're waiting to see what. How I don't know. We're just playing a game. Weekend at Bernie. Lagunas haven't loaded in. Where are Lagunas? Can we get? Sorry, Weekend at. Yeah, where are Weekend at Bernie's? Can we get a Weekend at Bernie's cam, Mister Observer? Or is there just not one? I don't think there is one. Possibly a lobby issue. Yep,
Yep.
paused. Yep. Okay. I maybe see some little people through the map there. Yes, server issue. All right. We might have to remake. So we tried. We gave that really cool, hyped up entrance. Thanks, Ward, for jumping on the screen. Yeah, we might have to remake the lobby here, ladies and gentlemen. It's not ideal. We hyped up that entrance. That was a really great throw from both me and Hyper there, and then it just
Nothing.
so
Just nothing.
yeah.
All
I'm
that
just
hard
not going
work.
to
See,
bother.
yeah, with the next entrance, we're just going to do the most monotoned start.
Yeah, yeah.
Just nothing. But immediately, let's talk about these compositions. Again, we're going to see a very comfortable loadout from Lagunas, the light heavy. We know that's worked really well. Both of them, both the lights using ARMs, which have been damage enduring. They have been beamers on both sides, and I love to see that. I love to see it. We know that Axo is probably the better of the two when it comes to beaming, hence why last time round when they did run heavy light, Axo stayed on that light with the ARN. So you can imagine two of those ARNs beaming you down, traced at the same point. That guy's going within probably half a mag, and then you still have the other half of the mag with two people shooting at you. going and disappearing. So there is a lot of potential for double reconnaissance, or you could play essentially tank, which is protect your heavy, use him as the meat shield. He will get the heavy hitting damage with the Lewis gun, and then you play around him. And then you provide almost like cannon support either side.
I think the other thing we need to think about here too is the sheer amount of movement. You've got two sets of gateways, you've got two sets of dashes, you've got two sets of everything else, glitch grenades, all sorts of things. We have a confirmation. We're diving back into it. 15 seconds from now, we're going to be right back where we were a second ago. Hyper. I'm doing my best to hype it up again, and I love it. I'm really excited to see how this match is. I'm that excited I just threw my pen across the room. I mean, I want to see how this pans out. I really want Weekend at Bernie's to come back and have that underdog story. But at the same time, Lagunas, they just look so good in that first best of three. But we're going to find out 15 seconds from now. Well, not even right now. We're loading on into Fortune Stadium once more. Same characters locked in, same loadouts locked in for the final round. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome back to the Season 0 final. As we said, the penultimate game for this entire series right here, right now. Weekend at Bernie's taking on the Gooners on Fortune for map number 1.
It's a rematch. And you know Lagunas wants to keep their pride high. They qualified into the playoffs at the bottom. They were last. A Cinderella story to go and be the least rated team to go and win versus the team that was favored to win it all. It would be the unbelievable storyline that everyone wants to talk about. Vault 1, situated inside the central building. This will not be as easy for the Lagunas, who are known to play for range. They could easily get a jump in, move on top of Weekend at Bernie's, get up close and personal, and finish it off. That RPG just misses to finish it off.
Oh my god, gateway above, dive on down, the glass has caused them problems. Lagunas looking worse for wear. One to go down, Axo left with a single HP. They're trying to lock him down and find him. He's going to be able to get the passive regen. Looks to go help his teammate, but the 93R finds one. Jumps on in, looking for anything, but he's not going to get a single one. Weekend at Birdies. They're going to get the vault. They're going to tap it open. They're going to go get that plug. That was a very different team fight than what we saw in that first best of three.
That was a lot stronger. That was more confident, immediately took control of the... Get my words out. Took control of map positioning and then decided, you know what, we can go even higher. Great gateway, jump in, and then bam. Rest is history. You've come in from height, you've come in as a surprise, RPG's done great splatting damage, and now you're left struggling to try and stay alive. But Lagunas, they've spawned in here, playing at quite a similar level, so they need to be careful because it becomes a 50-50 fight, and I don't like playing on the same platform. I'd want to get a little bit higher.
They're trying to do that now. They're pushing on up to maybe force Lagunas down a level. They do have that hole set up to the left here to play that verticality, but we do see off-screen a flank here from Rusty P, looking to try and shoot at the backs of Weekend Bernie's when they're not quite paying attention, but it's a regroup. They've managed to isolate Chico from behind. Keldor, great damage. They found a second Shay with that repeater, doing so much damage. Rusty Pete's going to find one for his trouble. Looking for a second, some great damage. Deep to come out, puts him back in the game, but Rusty Pete, if he keeps going, no. JRN, he could have done bits there. But that is unfortunate. You can't say that it wasn't a valiant effort, because it definitely was. But Rusty Pete, my God, don't put an ARN in this man's hands.
It was nearly a case of a Keldor special, which we saw in the cash out. Keldor just was able to stand alone, so can Rusty Pete. I was hoping, I was dreaming, but it did turn out to be 3 guns at 1 and an over peak that just cost him his life. And you could play hindsight. You could say if only he was just slightly back, pulled himself away, it would make life easier. I'm getting a little bit of deja vu. I've seen this entry and it's not always worked all too well, but Lagunas, they're going to play with it. They've got the last few seconds left on the clock. Could be 10. They need to start getting themselves onto point. They are going to start going for the steal. It's committed. It's stuck. He was riding it, surfing it, but eventually gets pushed off by the jump pad. Weekend at Bernie's. They will take round 1.
Oh, bit Orkies there for the Chargers. Slam kill. Chico does manage to push Microchip off the map, and Keldor taken down by Rusty Pete. However, though, saying that, Shay with the repeater does find one to revive here. A full reset, but I say that, Weekend at Bernie's egging off for the full reset too. Dives off the map, gets his boys back up. And to be fair, I'd much rather the 20-second wait time. Lagunas have to travel almost 100+ meters just to get to the vault. It's going to give them plenty of time to set themselves up. And to be fair, it's probably the smart choice. The scoreboard here, thank you very much. Production, Axo 0, yet to find himself on the board, but Rusty Pete for 2, 1 for Chico. Not crazy kills on the board of Lagunas, and it does reflect in the amount of cash that they currently have banked. Weekend at Bernie's. I mean, hey, a couple extra kills, 25k in the bank. I'm not going to be complaining after those couple of fights.
Well, we say Axo with 0 at the moment. We know what he's capable of, so just giving him time. A lot of these players, again, needed time to warm up. Look at the first fight that they played. I think it was on Banal. I might be wrong, it could have been Las Vegas. The first vault went to Weekend at Bernie's, and then Lagunas turned around and went, yeah, okay, cool. We're going to take the next 2 and reverse sweep you and win that map. So this could be a similar story, and right now, Lagunas, they're sitting on the vault. They can do whatever they want here. They could rotate it to B, they could rotate it to C, but it's trying to make that clean rotation, though I do love this rotation, as it will quickly dart and move over to B, as they've been able to sneak their way through it. Axo doing a fantastic job as a stealthy man that he is.
Yeah, great gateway. I mean, Rusty Pete and Chico keeping him busy. Just sit on the roof, send some shots across, let them think you're still there, while Axo is running around doing big business. That RPG could have been detrimental to the health of Lagunas, but unfortunately for Weekend at Bernie's, just doesn't quite get between them all as intended. However, they now hold the height advantage. They can C4 through. They don't have winch available, so they cannot bring that vault up any higher. But my God, Weekend at Bernie's with the gas grenade, another flank from Rusty Pete. He's found 2 into the backs of Weekend at Bernie's. It's now just Keldor. He's not going to get 1 for his trouble. It was Rusty Pete looking for all 3, but Axo's got to put himself on the board. He's got to help out, and he's going to find a kill there in that team fight. Weekend at Bernie's punished. They are going to have one more chance with them just over a minute left on this cash out. Possibly a spawn block here for Rusty Pete, or at least, at a minimum, a reposition, looking to get some early damage on Weekend as they return.
Oh, beautiful spawn manipulation. They have spawned so far away, and that is a lot of work to get over. Because first of all, they still got to make that jump. They then have to then get onto the platform to fight. So look at the damage that's already coming through. Gateway is going to be successful, and it's going to make it a little bit easier for Weekend at Bernie's to get across. However, we're looking at about 30 seconds left to get onto point. That isn't a lot of time when it takes 7 seconds to steal. 7 seconds out of 20, and time is still running down. Lagunas still able to keep Weekend at Bernie's away, and this is for them to stay in the game and to start that reverse sweep. The steal starts to go through, surfing well, able to stay on top. The shots come through, has the steal, it's happened! God. Weekend at Bernie's will take map 1.
My God, clench your cheeks and hold on, riding that bomb all the way down. Sorry, Bolt. I don't know why bomb. Jeez. You've so much defensive positioning set up. You've got Steve on the stairs. You've got Axo running around causing a muck. You've got Chico getting involved. And somehow, off screen, on the other side of the map, Microchip chucks down the orb, rides that bad boy into town, Thanks very much. I'll be taking that. Weekend at Bernie's. I mean, we saw them talking about it. Lagunas were saying at the end of that cash out that Weekend at Bernie's were great at stealing. I didn't think it was going to follow us into the final round format. They are doing the exact same thing they did to them in cash out, and Lagunas are probably not very happy about that.
No, but that surfing, well, look at the region we're playing in. You guys are known for surfing, and I did not expect anything left. So hats off to to Weekend at Birdies to pull that off. Absolutely incredible. But the Gooners, you can't rule out their gameplay as well. You can't rule out how they set up, how they made it so hard, just so unfortunate that Microwave was just sat on top. He rode with it. He had his team that quickly came in and body blocked it for the last second. It is so unfortunate, and you can't plan to counter something like that off the fly. You have the C4, it drops it down, that's all you can do. That is all you can do. And then from there, it's too late. The steal goes through. There's 2 seconds on the clock. You can't do anything. You need another 7. So disappointing.
I think Weekend at Bernie's were also quite lucky with how that C4 was placed too, because keep in mind, the C4 is a little bit higher on the chassis of the Volt there. It's going to knock it over, which means he's not going to be able to ride it straight down as he did. There's so many variables and physics involved in things like that when you're playing that post plant. So I always put my C4 around the middle because it is going to knock it and still drop it down with the destruction. We're getting straight into Fangway City here for map number 2. Hot off the press of a win. Hyper, it's massive for the mental of Weekend at Bernie's. I'd imagine they are in great spirits going forward into this one. Lagunas, if I was them, I'd be a little bit upset, but at the same time, I wouldn't be too cut considering, as we've said, they were 4th seed coming into this, going up against first, and to take those first matches away was a really good effort. They just need to find that same steam and apply it in this match.
Yeah, it's gonna suck, it's gonna sing, but you've gotta put that away. You've got to look forward, and you've got to look at this beautiful map. And not a popular choice from a lot of pros. A lot of people do not like it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a fantastic map to play. But let's be honest, I'm the type of guy who likes Sandstorm variant on Las Vegas. So can't really talk. But nonetheless, tag damage and Axo being the first one to drop, that's critical in this early phase of the game, as it will be a difficult challenge to try and get that revive. And also to note, Lagunas switching back over to heavy light to try and spice things up and keep that dynamic gameplay ahead.
I think that the heavy light honestly benefited them more. They're looking to go for a dive here. Orbs up though, and the RPG goes into the gateway. C4 as well. They're trying to do something with it. I don't know where the RPG ended up landing. Looks like it hit the bridge there. But for Lagunas, it wasn't unfortunately able to connect. However, Rusty Pete is with that Lewis gun. RPG direct hit on the zip line. What a crazy shot. Rusty Pete is dialed right now, ladies and gentlemen, looking to lock this kill on Microchip. He's going to do just that. Keldor can't even support. My God, that is aurifying.
Calculated. Absolutely calculated. It's rare to get a direct hit, and when you do, half the health of a heavy completely gone. There's no way of coming back, and Lagunas will finish it up, get the full wipe, and allow themselves a good 20 seconds to set up and play. A little bit of a distance to go as they go and play inside the office buildings. And my favourite strat for here, they don't have a winch though. Shame. I like to chuck it in the alley.
Well, that's why you're not a professional player. Anyway, moving on. I'm kidding. Lagunas, they have their strats. They are definitely, I think, more proficient with the heavy light than they are the light heavy. And that's a hot take, possibly. When they brought it out the first time, completely different to their first matchup. It was a lot more dominant, a lot more scary to watch if you were a Weekend at Bernie's fan. And the same thing is happening here. That first team fight, Weekend at Bernie's, yes, they have the medium and the light, but it isn't enough DPS for two heavies. Rusty Pete, though, is definitely scary with that Lewis gun. And this is exactly what I'm getting at. Yes, with the ARN in hand, my man is deadly, but with the Lewis gun, it looks like he's doing even more. Just these headshots alone causing so many problems. Good gateway here from Weekend at Bernie's to try and rotate around. Indeed, they will. But Lagunas, they're in such a great spot. They've got almost a 3/4 of his cash out gone, and Weekend at Bernie's haven't been able to make it to the building.
It's good spatial awareness. They're watching Weekend at Bernie's. They're making sure that they're doing a lot of tag damage. Of course, the Lewis gun kill early in that push massively slows things down, and we're down to, what, 50 to 45 seconds left for them to go and push. So not even half the time, and the Lewis gun starts to rip its way through onto with microchip, but it doesn't do much. Matter of fact, Weekend at Bernie's going to take most of this damage. Now we're down to the last 40 to 30 seconds, and this gets even tighter once again. Axo down to half health, and it almost looks like Weekend at Bernie's aren't even going to look to push this. There's no way to push it. Lagunas have it on lock. Not even an attempt to get onto site. Brilliant work from Lagunas.
Yeah, the kills now, I mean, it's all just about a reset. Ideally, Weekend at Bernie's probably push to it, especially now with Microchip going down. Keldor either going to AFK. No, he's actually revived downstairs, so he is going to put Shay back into the fray. The glitch comes out, try and do some great damage, maybe even find a kill here. Indeed, he will. That's Chico down. Possibly they could go for the wipe here if they can find the final kill, but no, Rusty Pete. Guys, pay attention. This guy is the one we want to be watching. Another clutch up kill for him. 7-0. Unkilled in this matchup here on Fangway City. They are yet to fell the beast.
Fwa. Fwa is the technical term that we're going to use to describe that. You're welcome.
Fair enough.
It's courteous by me. Second vault coming up, and Lagunas, well, I think you were slightly questioning that there may be a possibility of a disappointment after the first map. No, they've come out guns blazing in the best way possible. So, with Lagunas on top with better height, they are going to start to put the damage down. RPG has already been used. I'm not sure from which side. Microchip down to that low health, and a split is starting to come through. Two of the Lagunas as the charges land will do a huge amount of damage. Can it be cleaned up? Yes, it can. Of course it will. But with Rusty Pete down and out, both heavy and light low on the Lagunas. Chico versus Keldor. As Chico will start to get health. We know the speed of Keldor, but it's not enough. Chico will win that fight. Weekend at Bernie's. Why do I get the feeling they're crumbling once again? If this is a sign, this is a sign that the Lagunas need to stay heavy, heavy light.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the presence of that second heavy. It's just so hard to deal with. The 93R is great, but when you're using not only the 93R, but you've got the repeater as well. Small magazine size for the 93R. Repeater, yes, it's good, but it's got that slow fire rate. You need something that's going to knock the damage off these heavies quick to take them out of the fight. I mean, we look at Pete 2 here, essentially sitting on this roof with the Lewis gun as a heavy, dropping numbers on the other members of Weekend at Bernie's as they're coming over, and he's really yet to be contested. Axo now jumping in as well. The glitch grenades on point once again from these guys, keeping that mesh shield down, keeping these domes out of the way, and allowing Rusty Pete to do his damage. The RPGs, the charge and slams, the beams coming out from this guy are all because he is working synonymously with his team. Great flank from Keldor here, opening up the back door.
Keldor needs to come out with a massive play. Also to note, Vault has not been moved, so this is an ego chow here, but it's a critical one. So it goes less from ego, more towards, again, another Vault fight. It's unnecessary. They could have started the movement from the Lagunas. They could have got move this fight somewhere else. Instead, they're playing in a courtyard that they know how to play, but they're having to run. The damage is already built onto them, and in doing so, down to Rusty Pete, and the cards have turned, and it's all showing orange. Weekend at Bernie's. Now they have the choice of sight.
Yeah, they're going to be able to retrieve the box here too. It was opened, just not retrieved for Lagunas. They opted for the fight. And to be fair, I can't really blame them considering the position. Obviously, you cannot go backwards when you are in the shrine side of the map. You do have to go west towards the sites, or northwest even if you want to be pedantic. But realistically speaking, they were sort of locked in on that roof and they were better off just taking the fight compared to trying to rotate, especially with the fact that Axo is their only healing factor. Yes, he has the gateways, but realistically, you've got to get up and you've got to move. But you also have to keep your team alive. So doing so, I think it was probably a good choice. Interesting site choice for Weekend at Bernie's. They do have the setup for it. They do have that C4. They do have a lot of the ability to drop things down, play for that retake. But at the same time, Lagunas, we've seen them outside in these positions, especially with the heavies and Axo on that ARN. It is going to be difficult for them to hold if they're not really careful about where they're all set up.
Yeah, 2 gateways out, one from Weekend at Bernie's, and Lagunas are able to put themselves really close. Drop the point down, they're not rushing. They understand that Weekend at Bernie's, yes, they have height, but they also have ways to get in. So how do you set it up to not allow them to get through? And that jump came with nothing, a hesitation. The RPG is still in hand, so that could be dangerous. And now we're going to start seeing Laguna start creeping up like zombies crawling out of a cave. They slowly put down damage. Keldor down, Microchip down low. So is Shay, as it's down to 1 HP on both for the Weekend of Bernie's. They're having to retreat, they're having to run, and they're being hunted. They know Lagunas, they could finish it off. All it takes, one shot, but the heals come in, and Keldor's been picked up.
Wait, hang on.
Has there been enough time to get the steal to come in as well?
No, hang on. They still had a C4 on the point. Rusty Pete finds Microchip, but this is insane from Weekend at Bernie's. They've managed to hold on to this point throughout that entire time. 2 members spent that whole time running in that altercation. They've got Shay, they have Keldor, but look at the positioning. If Keldor can win the 1v1 against Axo here, which unfortunately he won't, the steal is very likely to come in unless Shay has something to say about it, which he doesn't. It's going to be a Lagunas 2-0 because as we can tell, other than getting on it right now and doing something about it, there's not a great deal Shay can do with the repeater in his hand. Charge and slam to lock it out. The full wipe there. Rusty Pete adds another tick to his box. And in the end, Weekend at Bernie's, they had a good run in that last box there. It took a little bit of time for Lagunas to get onto the point, but in the end, it happened anyway.
Yeah, I feel there was a slight missed opportunity for Lagunas, but I can let it slide because they were able to do it later on and take advantage. I understand chasing and essentially kiting themselves, Weekend at Bernie's, kiting themselves away, running away, just doing anything to stay alive. That was more important. Yeah, geez, 10-2. Not the
7,500 combat as well, and top support score. Is there not anything that this guy can't do? Crazy, crazy stats here. Thank you, production, for highlighting that for us. You're always on the ball. We love it. I mean, Weekend at Bernie's, yeah, look, they were so close to walking away with that last cash box. They made a lot of attempts at that vault and ultimately held it for a really long time, even in to that final sort of quarter of that bolt, that 10-20 second mark. They had that C4. It allowed to deny for that little bit longer, but if they'd have managed to get the kill with the C4, if it had been Axo on the steal instead of one of the heavies, might have been a bit different if they managed to take the player count down. Ultimately, not much difference was made, though. They lost it in the end, and I think Lagunas made the right choice, letting them go to then chasing. But ultimately, we do get to see that third map. Sis Horizon is going to be played. And to be honest, I'm really excited to see it. Hyper, it's a map that, as we've said, it is polished competitively. And for both of these two teams, yes, Lagunas had a great match. But Weekend at Bernie's in that first game, they looked really good. It is first, fourth seed at the end of the day, but heavy, light definitely seems to be the composition that Weekend can't just crack.
Yeah, I would advise stick with that heavy light. It's working, and especially if they're gonna run some goos, run some mesh shields, barricades, whatever. That is so important on Cis Horizon because there are sites that are quite open, and those utility are going to become so powerful. So, say we take the college campus and by the bridge,
Ooh.
it is a little strat for you guys. It's a little strat. If you have a point that's not situated on the bridge, but actually on top or one floor down inside the college campus, in the corner by the bridge, you can place a goo to block the pathway of the rest of the bridge. You then use essentially as a jump up point to look and shoot for anybody coming through the big alleyway, and then blow up a hole in the wall to into the college campus. So then you now have a sight line and a safe position for anybody who tries to steal, and that can work if the point is on that on the second, well, technically first floor, second floor for you North Americans, and I don't know what it is for Oceanas. But if it's on the roof, then you have now a second sight line if they try and drop. A little strat for you.
If anybody needs a coach, hit this guy up. He seems to know what he's on about, but we're going to get back to the game. Weekend at Bernie's, coming off worse for wear. We have seen the heavy light copy here from Weekend at Bernie's. They're going to give it a go themselves, see if it makes a difference. Axo very low. They weren't able to capitalize and get that kill. Shay almost being sent back to the gulag with the healing emitter here for Weekend at Bernie's. So they're opting to go for the orb to keep them in these fights, but it doesn't seem to be doing too much. Chico for one. Rusty pick for his own. Axo looking to lock it out on Keldor. One punch, two punch. Red punch, blue punch. It's going to be a wipe for Weekend at Bernie's, and Lagunas come out on top of that scuffle.
You can call it a 1-2-3 inning as the Baseball World Championships is currently happening. So that's a 1-2-3 inning for sure. And it seems like Weekend at Bernie's coming off on the same foot that they entered Fangway with. A bit of a struggle off the back, and I do appreciate Lagunas sticking heavy light. But we are seeing some gun change. We are seeing that Shack come into play, which has that more closer combat mentality. That's a beautiful jump. I love dashing off bounce pads. It gives you such a boost.
Yeah, definitely it does give a huge movement difference. But as the kills come out, charge and slam from Rusty Pete does find one on the microchip. Ironically, the heavy Winchclaw out of the game in this fray. Chico 1 HP. They're trying to lock it in. Healing emitter was keeping Shay in the game, but not anymore. Rusty Pete on a vendetta here from the top end of the spectrum. At 10-2 in the last game, my man is wired in on this matchup. 4-0 already here for him in Cis Horizon. It is looking like Lagunas have the momentum. Weekend at Bernie's have seriously got to do something if they want to have any chance of having that second chance in that re-bracketed finals. At the moment, though, Lagunas, with what they've got going on, Rusty Pete has the number.
A minute 20, I would say, is left on that clock, so plenty of time to turn things around. Actually, I'll take it back, more of a minute now left on the clock. We'll tap onto B, and it will be dropped down, and in doing so, Weekend at Bernie's, they're going to go and commit. Have they put a goo up to deny? No, they haven't, but they're still going through. They might need to drop down and commit. And instead, they're watching from above, and it has been successful to push them off. And as we start to see all of Weekend at Bernie's fall to the ground, Keldor left alive. And patience is so valuable. Lagunas could have dropped earlier. They could have made the pounce earlier, but instead, they allowed for the sense of security to linger inside and then destroy them when they felt vulnerable.
Yeah, that's valid from Ward there. My face looks pretty much exactly the same, minus the tinfoil hat. Rusty Pete for 2 there. Charge and slam spray down at its finest. And then Chico with the half quickscope, half no scope, one shot finisher on to Keldor. I mean, weekend at Bernie's. It is just BM at this point. Rusty Pete, maybe not that rusty, locked in on this match. AXO as well. He's been able to have a bit of a break in these games. He hasn't really had to do a great deal. Great gateway up. This is a position to be in, my God, but off screen. Shay finds one. Rusty Pete taken down finally first in one of the gunfight, looking to do some damage here. LH1 not maybe enough to find this kill. Body blocking here. Keldor finds one onto Chico. Weekend at Bernie's have found their stride. It's now just AXO looking for something. He's going to get punished. He's not even going to get one. And Weekend at Bernie's, they're going to lock in Vault 2 for their own devices.
The game's not over. It is not over. Weekend at Bernie's can come back. They can deny that Cinderella story that everyone's been talking about. That little hero, that ability to be the team that's upset everybody. There is still time. There is still time. C is the site choice and immediately dropping it down to the floor. They ain't playing no games, not playing any drops. They're playing it simple, but they've been caught with their pants down. They're out in the open, and that means tag of damage. And this will allow a push. Lagunas will see the advantage. They will start to push in, and all the healer util will start to be used up instantaneously. One good RPG could be the death of them all. A charge and slam pushes in, will do a lot of damage. There's two off the board, and Keldor once again left alive to struggle to stay alive. The LH1 not landing its shots, and a steal to make it championship point in favor of Lagunas. I'm not sure where...
Oh, sorry, microphone was turned off. I was just saying, it's so funny to watch that altercation just there. Keldor, while he was trying to dash, he looked like he was just shooting the wall because he was like smashing his controller to try and dash or something, and it was just funny. But anyway, Weekend at Birdies, yeah, it's looking rough. You've got that essentially series point here. Two Lagunas, you need to do something. It's in a bit of a bad position. You do have Winch though here from Microchip, and they are going to utilize that. Barricades come up, healing emitter. Orb as well. It's Lagunas. They have to dive in. They've lost to the steals before. They're going to prolong this game. They're locking it in. They don't know who to shoot. They're doubling it up, but Axo finds one. Chico locks another. Big RPG. They're back on to steal here. Re-steal from Weekend at Bernie's as it comes out. They've got to come back in. Shack 50's not enough. They re-steal.
It's stolen!
Looking
It's stolen!
to get in. Lagunas, they've been fully into the point. Everyone involved. Weekend at Bernie's back, forth, and the final point of Sis Horizon goes to Lagunas.
Wow. Lagunas, champion of Oceania. They come from seeding fourth. They beat the ranked one. They made it through cash out. They have done everything they needed to. Matter of fact, they beat ranked one twice. First of all in a 2-0, then in a reverse sweep. You could say the Weekend at Bernie's choked hard. 2-0, 2-0 as a reverse sweep comes through. Oh my lord.
Yeah,
That is impressive.
Highlight as well, Microchip again, 0-5. We saw this just before. Oh, reporting Microchip apparently for an offensive profile here. It's Raps. I'm sure Ward will be getting a DM about that one later. But ladies and gentlemen, I think a highlight here for me is going to be Rusty Pete. That series from him, game one, whatever. But game two, game three, dialed in, locked down, and put up numbers round after round after round, cash out after cash out. This guy was there, and I think he probably is going to walk away with the MVP from that one, personally, from me. But Lagunas, as you said, they win the first one, reverse sweep to finish it. Could not be any more of that Cinderella story, from fourth seed to champions of the region in the first ever series of the OFL. congrats.
Wow. Wow, just wow. And it just goes to show that anybody can make it to the top. And there you see Lagunas on top, winning 180 Aussie dollars, with Weekend at Bernie's only taking home 90, and then Rolled in third, taking home 30. It is still a fantastic achievement from those three. But the other two, Weekend at Bernie's and Rolled, wish they were standing on top of those steps, knowing how well they qualified. It's crazy to see. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, not super crazy considering in terms of rank, Lagunas are sitting on top of the spectrum. But at the same time, if rank was the only metric we'd be measuring, it would have been that they were in first seed, obviously. It doesn't all mean rank is everything at the end of the day. But in this instance, at this point in time, it did come in clutch a little bit there for Lagunas. It's definitely a different game style from them. You could tell there was a lot more micromanaging. There was a lot better utility management. They knew how to directly counter. I mean, it was definitely a very different game between those two. There was a lot more confidence as well in how they were fighting. They knew that the heavies could push. They knew that they had the ability to not bring as many healing gadgets because they were aware of, hey, if I just don't stand up here, I'm not going to get shot in the head. They weren't throwing their lives away. They weren't throwing their utility away. Yes, they had double RPGs, but a lot of those double RPGs were netting them freebies. Charge and slam in the hands of Pete. I mean, yes, okay, you could argue Mesh Shield Winch, a lot more valuable right now in terms of the meta, but at the same time, how many instances did we see that charge and slam deny the cash out? We saw it on the first match in this season, all the way back at the start of the night. We then saw it in SIS just then, jumping on down. But we have finally got word. We're going to jump right on in. Mr. Axolotl himself joining us on the desk for a very quick interview. First of all, congratulations are in order. First champions of OCE. We don't have audio set up for Mr. Axolotl, so we are just wiring that in. I promise he's here, guys.
What do you mean?
Want to hear from the man himself. Do we have audio in?
Hello?
Hopefully.
We can hear you. We can hear you in Discord. I just don't think the stream... We're good. We're good.
Okay.
Welcome, Mr. Axolotl. Congratulations.
Thank you.
First of all, how do you think it went? I mean, first game, obviously,
I played
2-0.
like dog shit. I get nervous
okay.
and I shake and then I can't aim and can't think. So, like... I know, I'm aware of that. We played a ranked game in between. I played so much better, then went back to playing shit, so...
Plutton on it. Oh, let's talk a bit about some of the details, though. Going up against, the likes of Weekend at Bernie's, they seeded into number one. You qualify through from the cash out. You walk into this match. Is there at any point in your mind, knowing that through the group stages, you lost to them 2-0 through groups, was that playing in the back of your mind, or was it just a case of, screw it, I'm going to win it?
Nah, are you talking about 2-0 from when we did the round robin?
When the round robin to now,
Wait, first week.
where you 2-0'd them.
That means nothing to me. Like, I broke my keyboard and was using a shitty one, and Chico was lagging on red ping, red packet loss. So, like, it really didn't mean much.
Fair. I mean, I guess that's stuff that we don't know, to be fair.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm explaining it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm just saying. You're losing 2-0, then... Yeah, but then we come forward, reverse sweep. First match, though, you did lose that one tonight.
We did lose that one.
What went wrong there?
What went wrong? We weren't playing together enough. Final cash out. Heavy was pushed a bit too far forward. We should have played for Kite. I could have probably thrown a gate for him, but then Weekend at Bernie's would have taken that gate and pushed hard. So, I don't know. We just fumbled.
And then, do you think that the heavy light comp was more beneficial for you guys playing against Bernie's, or was that just a comfort choice for the rest of the boys?
Well, as I've heard it explained to me, it is Mega Knight. You know what that means?
Yes.
Okay. Good. It works against the majority of people with not as much effort. Double light heavy is not meta at all. Double heavy is.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and well, I guess the last question I have to ask: what are you going to do with your portion of the prize pool?
Oh, I don't know. I know my teammates are going to spend it on the pokies, but
Play.
not
Fair
sure.
play.
Maybe go towards a new mouse or a game or something.
Yeah, especially as you just said, you broke your keyboard. You
I
might
fixed
want
it.
to.
I fixed the
Oh,
traces.
okay, that's been fixed. So okay, like just don't destroy this one. Is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, congratulations once again. Thank you for joining us. We do appreciate
Thank you.
it, and you guys deserve it. Good job.
Thank you.
I also believe we have Microchip here as well for a quick little interview. Microchip, unfortunately, not the outcome you guys were probably looking for, but regardless, second in the region. It's not a bad finishing.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. We made some shocking plays near the end, but it's the game. We were playing with a bit of a new player style. We're not really a double heavy team, but props to the boys that beat us. Oh,
Hmm. And in the first match, obviously you won. We
yes.
heard from Axolotl's point of view. Obviously, there was a couple of fights, heavy pushing too far forward. Do you guys think that there was something different that you necessarily did that you weren't implementing in those second matches and third matches, or was it just that, as he said, you capitalized on those mistakes and sort of just got lucky with how those plays ended up going in your favor?
I'm just saying, they're playing double light into repeater Lewis gun. What we were playing, it just doesn't work. I don't know. They couldn't really have. They don't have the survivability. But when they play double heavy, it's too oppressive.
Hmm.
On more of a positive note, of course, victory against Rolled, meaning that you did get a second chance at Lagunas. How
Yeah.
did that come with a lot of confidence going into the grand finals, or was it just a case of we were expecting to completely rolled?
Oh, we weren't expecting to roll them. Like we've played against them a bit and scrimmed against them a bit. They're a good team, but we do think that we were a bit of a better team going into it. But it's how it is. But I don't know if it gave us a confidence boost. It more gave us all right, well, here we are again against double heavies.
100%.
But that's just how it is.
100%. And just before we let you go, obviously, second is great and congratulations. Anybody or anything you want to shout out just before we let you go?
Shout out Rusty Pete. He's the GOAT. Carry, hardcore.
He is. He carried. Shout out Hydrate.
Carry,
Hydrate emotional support.
No, fair enough. Not much
Played in the
else.
earlier weeks.
Axolotl, anything you wanna add on to that?
Yeah, shout out to Hydrate. He was team carry. He was too good to be in this round.
Too good.
Too good. So we had to bench him for a bit. We needed to catch up. But yeah, shout out to him.
Nice. He seems quite happy to chat about that one, so that's always good. Gents, we're going to let you head off and go bask in the glory. OFL Season 0 champions and runners-up. Thanks for joining us in the booth, and hopefully we get to see you next season.
Righty.
Yes, goodbye.
Catch us.
Awesome. Well, at the end of the night, Hyper, I want to see how things panned out. The final bracket and standings for the season. I mean, it was a good one.
Oh, 100% a good one. Of course, mark up Lagunas as being the champions, a full winners bracket run with a somewhat into Cinderella-ish story with their rankings, but at the same time, Weekend at Bernie's getting that re-fight that they wanted and was able to put at least one on the board as a return. But at the end of the day, it is thank you, production, for Lagunas and gold. At the end of the day, it just was not enough. And Lagunas just played the way they needed to. They played perfectly, and you can't fault them in this case.
Yeah, definitely not. But Hyper, as the night draws to a close, we have had some absolutely monumental plays tonight on the OFL stream. And to be completely honest, I have loved every minute. I've missed the finals, and I'm so glad I got to come back and do it in a region that is close to home. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have one quick look at the credits on our way out. But just before we do, I want to have a couple of shout outs from the talent as well. Shout out to Hyperactive, absolute champion. Love him and has definitely been teaching me throughout the season. So I do appreciate that. And shout out to the OFL production in the backside of things. 4 guys tonight, not just apparently we maybe have no audio on this outro, but we're going to send it off anyway. Had fun, really good. We go sleep now. Enjoy, guys. Have a good one. Enjoy. Have a good night. Roll the credits.